Freddie Stewart make up the Leicester Tigers back three. The referee is Wayne Barnes, one of the best, if not the best around. It's 10th Premiership final, and Sarries kick us off from right to left, and it's Farrell who starts the game, and Leicester run it back and immediately are met by a wall of black shirts. The smoke still lingers in the Twickenham air, but a man who's seen it and done it is Wigglesworth, and it looks like Leicester are running it out already, or maybe just working a better angle to kick, and Maroney does just that. Farrell is in the backfield. He's going to send up a towering bomb into the smoky Twickenham sky. Who's coming forward? Freddie Stewart comes forward. He knocks it on. You don't see that very often. Might be numbers for Saracens on the right as Davis flings it out to Daley, gets it over to Malins, who scored 16 times this season. That one went forward. We're going to go back for the Stewart knock on. Lots to unpick already, Paul Grayson.
Yeah, I like that little change-up from the kick-off by the Tigers. It was kicked deep by Farrell. Leicester shaped up to do a box kick, then passed the ball deep, and from left to right, two wide passes to Maroney, who smashed it down the field. So they were clearly identified something about Saracens' backfield that gave them a chance to run out from their own 22.
Former England captain, 50 caps for his country, Premiership winner Tom Wood. Great to have you with us, Tom, this afternoon. Is this about just getting a touch of the ball, getting a contact in as early as possible?
I think what it is Saracens have loaded the backfield, ready to counter-attack. They're expecting that box kick from Leicester, and Leicester have spotted it. Maybe a bit of chess being played there. They've seen that in the analysis in the week, and they've decided to keep them on their toes early, manipulate that backfield.
What we've got is a Saracens scrum 20 metres in from the left-hand touchline, because Freddie Stewart did something he doesn't very often do, which is drop a high ball. Finals
nerves, perhaps. Even the England player of the season, Freddie Stewart, he's only 21, of course, he's going to feel them.
Absolutely. Magnificent player, fantastic athlete, and he seems one of those guys who's built for the big moments. Having said that, it was a high ball from Owen Farrell from the backfield with primary chaser Billy Vunipola, so he may have had the giant England back rower just in the corner of his eye.
Saracen scrum, nice attacking position this for the men in black. The scrum is rock solid. Saracens got a nudge on here. I think they may have fancied a penalty, but no, use this, says the referee. Davis out to Tompkins, had a really good season, Nick Tompkins, and he makes the gain line. Davis now comes to the right. What's that, about 25 metres out? Billy Vunipola, nice offload to Alex Good. His 8th Premiership final, but he's rocked back in the tackle by some stern Leicester defence. Here's Maro Itoje, that's a good bust from the England talisman. 25 metres out, centre field, Davis out to Farrell, Tompkins rather, now Farrell, he goes to kick, he's sacked in the tackle, well played Guy Porter, he's turned that one over. Wigglesworth in his 8th final, he hooks it downfield. We've got a late tackle by Leicester, so a penalty is coming. So Malins might want to run this. No, he's kicked it away. George Ford will mop up, and we're going to have a penalty now, aren't we? Yeah.
Penalty, late tackle.
Late tackle by Leicester.
Yeah.
And a little bit of ill-discipline you've got to try and avoid, even though it's a final and you're twitching and itching to get involved.
Well, a couple of good shots in that defensive set from Leicester, and also a couple of misses. Genge and Cole both didn't really get a good shot on a charge in Maro Itoje. Porter did well actually to cut Farrell off and stop the kick and compete. Obviously he's playing instead of Dan Kelly, who got injured last week, who's been even though he's a young man, a linchpin really in Leicester's systems of playing.
Leicester are just a little bit slow to organise in midfield there, which allowed Maro Itoje onto the front foot.
It's actually 5 metres in front of where the mark is.
And Owen Farrell is going for goal. Often the trend in the game these days is to kick the corner. Likes of Exeter, Harlequins have been doing that and did that in the final last year, but absolutely no doubt you go for goal from these.
Yeah, it was a needless bump. Tompkins took the ball to the line and passed it out the back. Visa, I think it was, who just decided to leave a little bit of something on him, just a shoulder into the ribs, but too much for the TMO to miss.
Yeah, he got a good referee, 2 TJs and a TMO. You can't get away with all that much, something Tom Wood was lamenting on the Rugby Union Weekly podcast a few weeks back. Farrell then from 37 metres or so, 4 minutes on the clock. 5 Live Sport from the BBC, live at Twickenham for the biggest game in the English club rugby calendar. Here is Farrell for 3, and it's hanging and it's over. Just snuck into the left, not straight through, but definitely good enough. Farrell on the money. Saracens lead by 3 in the final.
Difficult, Tom, to get into the game when you're that hyped up not to just carry on and follow through on the hit sometimes?
Yeah, everyone's desperate to get that first shot in. My dad always told me get the first one in early, even if it's late, and I think that's the one he's applied there.
Wise words.
Well, Jasper Wiese was a bit of a yellow card machine at the start of the season, but he's really cleaned up his act and been a massive influence for Leicester. Got him back in the Springbok setup, hasn't it? And here is Elliot Daley, who has adorned this turf many a time. 53 caps for England and a handful for the British and Irish Lions as well. Saracens, though, are in their own 22, and Leicester will want to keep them down here, or at least force Davis to clear for touch to give them a platform. Davis is under pressure and he gets it away. Good clearance kick from Davis, taken in by Stewart. He makes sure this time. He then puts a big one up in the air. A huge Gary Owen, and forward comes Billy Vunipola, who takes it, calls the mark. Billy does. That's pretty composed from the number 8.
And now he's tapped it and gone.
He's tapped and gone and found Alex Good, and he's kicked. And yeah, Wayne Barnes has got Leicester for not being 10. So that was very calm and composed from the number 8.
It's a classic fullback play, really, from the number 8. Catches the ball 1 foot inside the 22, calls the mark. Inevitably, there's half a dozen players who will be offside when you tap it.
Here is Chris Ashton, who has been in this final before for Saracens and is starting on the right wing for Leicester. Here's that kick tennis that I think we expected to see. Good this time, finds his opposite number, Stewart. Stewart will kick, all about trying to find some grass, but as Tom Wood pointed out earlier, Saracens have got that backfield well marshalled, and Farrell decides to take touch, and it'll be a Leicester line out, kind of 40 metres from their own line. Paul Grayson is our expert kicker. Who won that one, or honours even?
If you're happy to go to the set piece, Saracens won it because Leicester went long down the middle. Farrell caught it inside the 22 and he's made touch on the Leicester 10 metre line. If part of your strategy is to attack their line out, Saracens will be very happy with that.
Julian Montoya's had an amazing season, the Argentinian, and he finds his man in the line out. Now Leicester have it through Guy Porter. Big tackle coming in. Was that Mako Vunipola? It was. Not in the England fold for the Six Nations, but still can cut it at the highest level, Mako Vunipola. Leicester on their own 10 metre line. The veteran Wigglesworth, 39 years of age, 8th Premiership final. He kicks. Max Malins takes it and dances past one defender. Aled Davis now out to Jamie George, who's having an early carry. 7.5 minutes gone, still 3-0 to Saracens. Now here is Farrell, and yet this kicking, as we expected, is plentiful as Stewart scoots round, and he kicks it straight to Nikasikwa, who caught it really well, and then he knocked it on, and that'll be a Leicester scrum. So a couple of minutes that I don't think will live long in the memory for the supporters, Paul.
No, it was a good catch from Nikasikwa initially. After watching a replay of the Mako Vunipola hit, he's an all-court player, as Lou said, Tom.
Yeah, I think, is it Porter bouncing back inside, looking for a soft shoulder there, looking for to mitigate that line speed in midfield from Saracens. Unfortunately, he ran into a not-so-soft shoulder of Mako Vunipola on the inside, which basically, as a prop forward, you're licking your lips there. You know, sort of lighter guy bouncing back in towards around the fringes of the breakdowns and set piece, and you just eat them up.
What's the mood down on the touchline, Sarah Orchard?
I'm actually sat with our TV colleagues, and I'm sat next to Ugo Monye, who's just whispered in my shell light that last week George Ford from Leicester, he actually kicked away 75% of the possession he had, and that's very indicative of what you guys are talking about up there. Of course, that this is going to be a lot of kick tennis today, and who is going to break down, or who's maybe going to forget the game plan and try and do something magic to try and break that sort of momentum. But at the moment, both sides very calm, no sort of like movement from either bench just yet.
Well, the scrum ended up with a free kick to Leicester, and George Ford goes for one of those spiral bombs. I don't know how you catch them. Malins does, though, but he's put under serious pressure by the chasing Harry Potter for Leicester. That's what George Ford can do, those kicks. When he gets a proper spiral, are almost impossible to take. He's made many a fullback and winger look daft in that situation, but Malins was equal to it. Davis, the Welshman, the scrum half for Saracens, he pops one into the box. Who's going to come forward and take this one? Potter's up there, but doesn't claim it, backwards, and then it's in the hands of Ford, who finds Stewart. He's probably kicked more than he has all season today, and Alex Good will take them. He has a nothing kick from Stewart, and Good takes it, and he calls the mark.
Yeah, not his best 10 minutes, Freddie Stewart. a knock on from a high ball, an errant kick that he was fortunate to get away with as Ezekwe ultimately dropped the ball, and then in counter-attack there, an average little nudge. Hopefully he'll settle down.
Well, that's a great kick from Alex Goode. What a player he is and has been. To think that he played in Saracens' first Premiership final in 2010 as a 22-year-old. Here he is at 34. Still a world-class operator, Tom Wood, a former teammate of yours, Alex Goode.
Yeah, I actually played with Alex at age group rugby at under 18, and he was a class act then. He was playing most of his rugby at 10, and he was brilliant as a back row forward to run off, and he was way beyond his years at that stage, pulling the strings, and he's gone on just strength to strength as a professional player.
Yeah, and he slips into 10, doesn't he, when Farrell's not around, and does it with aplomb. Leicester win the line out at the front. Ollie Chesham, now Wigglesworth, he puts up a box kick. Sean Maitland, the Scotland international, throws a dummy. That was greasy, the Twickenham turf, after a little bit of rain earlier, but otherwise the perfect surface. Good steal coming in, yeah, real clean turnover coming in by the Leicester Tigers, and Tommy Raffel stormed away with the ball. First time really that Leicester have got the ball in Saracens' half with a bit of possession. Will they use it or go to the air? They're going to go to the air through Ford. A tester for Alex Goode. This won't bother Goode. No one's around him. He takes it, calls the mark. Taps and plays to Theo McFarlane. McFarlane had Maitland to his left, but he sets it up. Saracens inside their own half, in between the 10-metre line and the 22. 15 metres in from touch as we look over the top of play from the West Stand. Elliot Davis just heels the ball back and will kick, and it's claimed in the backfield by Potter. He flips it out the back of the hand to Ford. Ford over to Stewart. Stewart kicks again. This one might just dribble out of play. It does. So it'll be a line out to Saracens on the far side, 40 odd metres from their own line. It's very cagey. Saracens with a 3-0 lead as we check in with the racing at Ascot and Darren Owen.
Yes, we've just seen the Group 3 Jersey Stakes for the 3-year-olds over 7 furlongs, and this race has been won by Noble Truth for the all-conquering Godolphin, Charlie Appleby, William Buick team. The 4-1 favourites made virtually all the running to beat number 7 Find at 40-40-1 in second, and the third there, number 5 Dubai Poet at 20-1. So Noble Truth wins for Godolphin and Charlie Appleby, and they'll be represented in the next race, the Hardwick Stakes, with the red-hot favourite Hurricane Lane.
Thank you very much, Darren Owen at Royal Ascot, and at Twickenham. Ben Earl from the Saracens line out sets it up. Elliot Davis on his own 40, another box kick, loads. We thought it was going to be a kick fest. It's like an international match, the sort of cagey tactical kicking that's going on, Paul Grayson.
Yeah, it is. There's so many internationals on the field too, but two teams who have, this is their DNA. This is how Steve Borthwick has rebuilt Leicester. It's low risk, high efficiency rugby, and we all know about Saracens inventing the Caterpillar.
Well, one man who benefited from that Caterpillar, Richard Wigglesworth, he kicks for Leicester, and Aled Davis loses it. That's why you kick, because you make 60 odd metres with one opposition mistake. And now Chesham for the Tigers, and look at the body language from Leicester. They know they might have an opportunity here from that knock on by Davis. 25 metres out, Wigglesworth to the right. George Ford throws a dummy, wrapped up by Jamie George, many times an England teammate, but adversaries today. No advantage from the knock-on, but it's a good bit of territory for the Tigers. We've not seen Genge yet, and he sends it out the back to Freddie Stewart. Chris Ashton puts a kick through. That's a nice little kick from Ashton. Davis is back there. Goode is under real pressure, and he's going to be taken over his own line, is he, Alex Goode? He is. 5 metre scrum, Leicester ball, and there's where the tactical kicking game all ends up paying off. Leicester end up making a load of ground and have the scrum 5 metres from the Saracens line.
Yeah, the initial mistake. Aled Davis, scrum half in the backfield, doing a winger's job, doesn't do it very well. There's the knock on, and then the response to the event from Leicester was excellent. Good carry from Chesham. They got into some attack, and then playing right to left, Chris Ashton 60 metres off his own wing, gets on the shoulder, gets the ball, then threads it through with the outside of his boot. That builds the pressure. No escape for Sarries.
Big scrum for both sides here, Tom Wood.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. If they get clean ball, I mean, Leicester are under a little bit of pressure in the first scrum, I felt. So it'll be interesting to see how they can apply here. and obviously big Visa off the base is a huge threat if they get some dominance in the scrum. So let's see what happens, I guess.
And if the teams are going to kick as much as they have done in the opening 15 minutes, Tom, they have to make sure that when they do get this field position, they turn it into points.
That's what it's all about. You saw Leicester come alive when the error happened there, and then launch into attack mode, and then they've earned themselves this opportunity through hustling right to the try line and bundling Alex Good over his line. So this is the opportunity they're waiting for. This will be the set piece that they'll have practiced in the week. They'll have something up their sleeve. See what they come up with.
Well, the scrum is moving all over the place, and then it collapses in a heap, and
stacks of pressure through.
Referee Wayne Barnes
pressure.
Says that it was just a bit of pressure. No one was particularly misdemeaning, but some stern words going from Barnes to the front rows. Genge, Montoya, Cole for Leicester, Vunipola, George and Cock for Sarries.
You've got to let them scrummage. I know there's been a fair bit of kicking in this opening period, but the game hasn't lacked tempo. They're getting on with it. There haven't been long periods where we stood around waiting for people, and you need to let the big guys up front have a proper contest. If there's nothing wrong, let them have another go.
70,000 plus in at Twickenham. There are neutrals here. We've seen Gloucester shirts and Harlequin shirts and Northampton shirts, but a load of Leicester fans have made the trip. But it's a penalty to Saracens. Tom Wood said the Sarries maybe got the edge on the first scrum. Well, according to Wayne Barnes, they've definitely got the edge on the second. Amazing opportunity for Leicester, 5 metres out. And it's gone begging because Saracens have won a crucial penalty.
That's a big psychological lift for Sarries. That if they can rely on their scrum to get them out of trouble, then that's massive.
I mean, that front row, Vunipola, George and Cock, with the power of Itoje and Ezekwa, two strong scrummaging second rows in behind them. If you can get your back rows to be engaged, Tom, it's always difficult 5 metres from your own line, the balance between giving your prop everything you've got and also keeping your eye out for the breakaway.
Yeah, we often call that meerkatting in the back row. If you're getting your head up, looking over the back, worrying about what's happening, you've got a threat like VC, you've obviously got backs moves on where they're able to launch, but you've got to give your props everything and make sure that you kill it at source if you can.
Dan Cole was singled out by the officials, the Leicester tight head, so Vunipola getting the better of him there, and you saw Owen Farrell was almost screaming at the Saracens scrum and then celebrating wildly. That's a good breakout from Billy Vunipola. What a run from Billy Vunipola over to Malins. He kicks ahead. Will that stay in field? Across comes Stewart. That is a slick, accurate breakout from Saracens, and the body language from the men in black is really, really positive.
Well, from a defensive 5 metre scrum, they win the penalty. Go to touch, set up a maul. It's a dummy maul. Billy Vunipola goes down the blind side, flashing feet, steps off his right, throws in a hitch kick just for good measure, and then over the top, off the left hand, floated pass for Malins. Ridiculous stuff, Billy Vunipola.
Thank you.
Leicester do win the line out. Hanro Liebenberg jumping high in the middle, but as Paul Grayton outlined, they've coughed up 80 odd metres, and in your first final in 9 years, when you're going up against a winning machine like Saracens have been, you've got to think Leicester need to take their chances. But the gap is only 3 as we edge over the 18-minute mark. Big defence coming in. Tompkins and Farrell are manhandling Guy Porter, and they've sent him 10 metres back, and he's in trouble here. But I think Itoje may have been the second or third man.
Make sure you went to floor, uncontestable.
And Itoje has conceded the penalty when he was sniffing out a turnover. Farrell and Tompkins dominant with the tackle. Itoje all over the ball. The referee Wayne Barnes said he was going off his feet, the Saracens players. And Leicester survived this time.
Leicester a little bit lucky there because they were really hesitant away from that maul, got themselves a little bit isolated and a little bit upright, so you don't want to be doing that in the face of a dominant Sarries defence.
That's where Dan Kelly's been so good for them this season. I watched him play in an under-18s school match for Kirkham Grammar, full-grown human being at 18 years old, totally dominated. He's transferred that into the Premiership with no hesitation whatsoever. They miss him in that element.
Yeah, part of a group of talented young England midfielders. A chip off the Grayson block in Ethan Grayson doing big things at Northampton as well. With Will Joseph is in the England setup, Max Ajomo, plenty of players for Eddie Jones to keep an eye on as Leicester clear their lines through Wigglesworth. Here is Malins, who mazily jinks out of defence and offloads it to Ben Earl, the Premiership player of the season, Earl, who scored a hat-trick in the defeat of Harlequins this time last weekend. Still 3-0 to Saracens, a quarter of the match gone as Vunipola sets it up, and the moment the sting goes out of an attack, both teams are happy just to settle things down and put boot to ball and send it skywards. This one hasn't gone all that far, and eventually the loose ball is claimed by the Leicester Tigers. Wigglesworth. He's caught by Billy Vunipola, but illegally, says referee Barnes. Genge over to Montoya, now Chesham. Chesham, that's a good carry from the England man, made his debut early this year. Wigglesworth to the left, George Ford. Ashton was floating,
to your left,
but
2 metres.
no
Really
advantage in
Chesham
shooing.
there. Really strong from Chesham to ride that collision. That's 2 big men, Nick Ezekwe, bouncing off the shoulder and staying on his feet to make some ground.
He's impressive, isn't he? He's noticeable when he flicks the switch. Clearly and early he's on to what's happening in the game. From 2 turnovers he's done really well, and 1 from a unstructured play, putting a blistering clear just down in front of us 10 minutes ago or so. Just shows a guy's playing in the engine room, but mentally very alive to the theme of the game and what's going on. Clever boy.
So get your chasers, yeah.
Wayne Barnes having a chat there with Richard Wigglesworth. If anyone's going to be able just to milk a penalty and stay on the right side of the ref, it's going to be the 39-year-old. Leicester have the penalty, so Billy Vunipola's had a great start to the game, but then he gave a penalty away there, and Ford can level the scores.
He just had a 5-minute period where you were just seeing world-class Billy Vunipola again. Just got a bit giddy. I can do what I want and play my own game. I'm ruling the roost and got the wrong side of the ref.
Yeah, I think all back rowers are guilty of that from time to time. You want to be right on the edge. You see the scrum half lift the ball. Are you quite onside? Are you half a yard offside? Can you reach and get him? Is it a legitimate one? Has he picked it, or are you playing the scrum half before he's played the ball? And they're tight margins, but in finals like this, they matter.
Well, Ford is not going to level the scores. He's pushed this one to the right. He normally gets a bit of a right to left draw on his kicks, but it didn't come, sort of like shouting at the ball to stay out the rough and end up on the fairway, but it stayed to the right, and it's still Farrell's penalty that separates the sides. Leicester 0, Saracens 3. 22 minutes of the final gone as Farrell lamps the drop kick restart from his own 22. Ford, no hesitation to try and return the ball via the boot. That's a horrible one for Davis, and Leicester are going to get onto this, and they're just winning a couple of these kick battles. What can they do with the possession in the territory? Wigglesworth to Ellis Genge, the skipper, up against the Toje. There's Billy Vunipola over that ball, but it's still there for Wigglesworth, and here is the South African Jasper Wiese. Big couple of collisions with Maka, Vunipola and Vincent Koch, and Sarri's defence done really well. They're going to force Ford to kick, but that's a clever one that might set up for Ashton. Oh, well played, Elliot Davis. He's taken that so well, and he's kicked it downfield. Ford scampers across. Ford against Davis. Well played, George Ford. Lovely hands inside to the on-rushing Harry Potter. That's a good bit of rugby that's broken out amidst the kicking, and Leicester go in at the side.
You've got to come all the way back.
So referee Wayne Barnes, eagle-eyed, potted really, really well from Ford's pass, but then his support went into the side, and Saracens have the penalty. They can drive deep into Tigers territory.
Taking a bit of damage there, George Ford, in that counter-attack. He knew he could get on the outside and then flip the ball back inside to Potter.
There's no foul play on Ford, he just slips at the last minute.
Looks like he has tweaked or twisted something in that passage of play. Nevertheless, Elliot Daley gets on with it, smacks the ball
Who
down
else is down in midfield?
right touch line.
Yeah, you can hear the voice there of the television match official coming in and constantly speaking to Wayne Barnes. George Ford, though, still getting some treatment as he just turned an ankle. Sarah Orchard down at the touchline. What, is there a ripple going around the Leicester bench that maybe George Ford's in trouble here?
Okay, the only thing we can see for confirmation at the moment is Freddie Burns is on his feet. He is sort of stomping around with his hands on his hips at the moment. It doesn't look like at the moment he's going to take his training top off. So he would be the obvious one who would come in. He stepped in at fly half a number of times this season for George Ford, particularly during that period, of course, when George Ford was called back into the England setup during the Six Nations. And this, of course, Freddie Burns' second period that he's had at Leicester. He's spoken so eloquently this week about how much he's enjoyed his time, and as much as he's a real fan's favourite these days, you would say losing George Ford at this moment in a final would be huge. And I can tell you now, the Freddie Burns training top has just come off.
It looked one of those, as he rode the attempted challenge, you could just see his toe catching the ground and that inside ankle sprain, which is
Did they respond on that 9 box?
which can be really painful, because it takes a lot to twist your ankle that way.
Yeah. We'll end up giving a big one.
And Steve Borthwick has also come down to the touchline. This has really got the Leicester backroom staff headed up by Borthwick animated. And look, Borthwick probably just next to you, Sarah Orchard, giving Freddie Burns some instructions. It looks as if Burns is going to have to come on here.
Yeah, certainly. Steve Borthwick just jumped to his feet in the last 30 seconds. He sort of rushed down the steps to the left-hand side of us, and he's gone straight down. He's in the ear of Freddie Burns right now. He's just put a really sort of comforting hand on his shoulder, just patted him on the back, and it looks like Freddie Burns is coming onto the pitch in the final. There's still a good 24 minutes of this first half still to play, but this will be really sad news for George Ford, as we obviously don't know what he's done. He won't know what he's done at this moment. I suppose the only slightly reassuring thing is that at the moment George Ford is testing that ankle. He is walking on it, and it will be a bit of concern that if he is walking on it, if he has done something, he's making it worse. But he's just put his hands up to his head. But I think George Ford knows his final is over and Freddie Burns is on.
Well, what a huge moment in this final. Great reception from everyone here. Leicester Saracens all neutral for one of the modern day greats of English rugby, George Ford, with his 80 plus caps. But Tom Wood, you know, can you walk off one of these things? If you can't walk on your ankle, is there any chance that it could suddenly get better, or does George Ford know there's no chance?
No, Fordy knows his own body here. There are certain things you can walk off. You get stood on, you get like a bang and it's an impact, then sometimes it's a bruise, it's a dead leg, and it goes in time. The adrenaline and everything will carry you through that. But if he's rolled an ankle, if he's sprained something there's no running that off. Not for a kicker, not for a controlling influence like George Ford.
Yeah, what a sad moment for George Ford, who is coming off. Freddie Burns on. I did wonder why Freddie Burns was on the poster for the Premiership final, but maybe some of the marketeers knew something we didn't. And Freddie Burns is going to have a huge say in this final with an hour to go. But George Ford getting a great reception from the crowd here, and so disappointing that his final is over, and maybe looking ahead to that tour of Australia. If it is a bit of ligament damage or something, you're not going to turn that around in 2 weeks.
Well, that's his final over. That's his current stay at Leicester Tigers over too, isn't it? All done and dusted.
Yeah, he would have loved to have finished in different style, because he's been fantastic this season, and he's going off to Sale. And in his second stint to the Tigers, he won the Golden Boot for points scored this season, and it's a huge reason why they're in this Twickenham final. But it's Freddie Burns. He's got plenty of experience. He's played for England as well, who is on for almost an hour of play. Still just 3 points, as Sarries have it through Farrell, who throws a dummy and then kicks. Across comes Stewart, just inside his own half, now over the halfway line. That's a good strong carry from the big man Freddie Stewart. Wigglesworth to Tommy Raffel, who might be making his Wales debut this summer. He's in the squad to go to South Africa. Wigglesworth's pass goes to nobody. Maroney cleans up, but Farrell and Itoje met him, and you feel the energy from Sarries is really positive. 2 or 3 players every time are making the tackles.
Yeah, Wiggy's just a little bit slow. Richard Wigglesworth at the breakdown for me, letting Saracens just an extra second to get organised, and they managed to put pressure on the Leicester attack.
Alex Good, brilliantly taken by Good from Wigglesworth's kick. And Alan Davis, will they look to play Sarries, or maybe just a few phases before Farrell goes to the boot? Controlled presence, Owen Farrell, at the moment. He doesn't have his mate George Ford opposite him, so maybe that changes things slightly tactically. Davis kicks again. 25 minutes gone. Leicester 0, Saracens 3. Through comes Stewart, who loses it. So another knock on from Freddie Stewart. Rare to see 1, let alone 2. Penalty to Saracens. Wigglesworth, I think, has been done for dissent. I said earlier he'd stay on the right side of Wayne Barnes.
We're going to have to look at a tackle by Alan Davis. Here. Stop the game.
Alan Davis, we've just seen a replay.
Barnes here, I'm about to show you a head contact by Alan Davis.
Well, referee
so
Tom
it's off the back
Foley.
of the last line out. Montoya takes the ball into contact, and Alan Davis direct contact with his left shoulder to his head.
What do we make of this one, guys? You would have heard it there from the TMO to the referee. Direct contact with the shoulder to the head.
We're going to go real speed first. I'll show you. Here we go.
Could be red, could be yellow.
No contact point coming up next.
What's your instinct, Tom?
My instinct, based on the wording from the TMO there, would be red card.
Yeah, so we're going to get the contact.
Having said that,
here.
last week with the semi-finals, we seemed to lower the levels and change our interpretation of it. So yeah, based on how it's been refereed all season, I'd say that's got to be a red card.
Yes, it is. I agree.
Unquestionably.
It's just now what colour, so let's have a look at real plays, real speed, to see if that's high degree of danger, because he kind of fades back a little.
Yeah, so it's the ball carrier who's dominant in this, not the tackler.
Ball carrier dominant, direct on head contact. It's not starting at high degree of danger, so we're starting at just below high degree of danger. We start yellow card. Anyone disagree with that? We don't need to mitigate.
Agreed.
Well, it's going to be a yellow card for Elliot Davis, and I think he's going to run off the pitch because we've seen them given as red cards, but the referees in the last few weeks have been talking about degree of danger and the fact that Montoya may have won the contact.
That's a bizarre concept for me. Winning the contact is completely irrelevant in my eyes.
But that's how it's been. That was ref last Saturday, wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, and I found it bizarre language to use in relation to a collision.
You've got a guy who is
it's on the second cut line.
Four stone heavier, carrying the ball. He's been hitting the head by a 9 who's hit him as hard as he can.
Yeah, I don't
just
think
because he carried on going forward.
I think it's
all
nothing
to do with it.
All about sort of your intent, but also if you're going to refer it based on outcome and point of contact, then he's made contact with the shoulder to the chin. I mean, it's a red card. And it doesn't matter how big you are. You could knock somebody out with a shot to the chin anytime.
Yeah, how many players in the past 3-4 years in the Prem have been red carded for an identical kind of tackle?
Yeah, I think if we went back and picked out a montage of all the red cards over the last couple of years, that would definitely qualify.
Yeah, it's something for the lawmakers to look at. We had this exact conversation last Saturday.
Let's call it what it was. A terrible tackle technique. He hasn't dipped at all. He's thrown his shoulder and he's never looked to go into his towards his stomach or drop his height at all. He's just hit him as hard as he can.
Well, whether people agree with it or not, it is only a yellow card for Elliot Davis, and that might be the bit of luck Saracens need. A red would have given Leicester a huge boost to offset the pain of losing George Ford. Now here the Tigers attack. Burns rather out to Stewart. Great break, Freddie Stewart. Ashton could be in here. Chris Ashton's one-on-one. Good tackle, Alex Good. But Ashton's only 3 metres out. The best chance for a try we've had all final, which is almost half an hour old. Leicester might not get a better opportunity all day. Genge is helped out by Montoya. Montoya drives on. Leicester are inches short. The pack. Will it be old school Leicester? One of those old school men is Dan Cole, who's in there, and he's trying to drive over. Leicester up the line, they've scored, and they're on the board in the final. And look at the Leicester flags fly all around Twickenham. Try for the Tigers, and they lead in the final.
Great power and patience on that pick and go. They took their time there. I was thinking they were taking too long and allowing Saracens to organise, but they got their numbers around the ball and then showed unbelievable power.
Freddie Stewart with the line break. Leicester will be able to play exactly the same shapes with Freddie Burns at fly half as George Ford. He's the same sort of player. Great break from Stewart around the outside after a rocky opening 10 minutes. Got them into position. There were so many numbers, so much good positive leg drive from Leicester.
You got the cut of the line, thanks, Fred.
To force their man over, get him to the whitewash. They got 9 minutes with Sarries down to 14 to try and make hay.
Well, brilliant use of the extra man from Leicester. Hanro Liebenberg it is who got the try from short range, helped out by Dan Cole. At the start of his Leicester career, Cole and Leicester forwards would have been doing that all day long. That went away for a couple of years, but it's well and truly back now as Burns tags on the 2. 28 minutes gone at Twickenham. Leicester 7, Saracens 3. Tom Wood.
I think that was selfless from Chris Ashton as well, because he could have gone for the corner there, and many wingers may have done so, but he came back in field, didn't quite get to the line himself, but recovered the ball and allowed Leicester to do what they do best. Well, also that conversion's absolutely crucial as well. Like every point's going to matter on a day like today.
100%. And if you're just joining us on 5 Live Sport, George Ford off injured, Elliot Davis off with a yellow card, but many will feel, as our 2 experts here, Paul Grayson and Tom Wood did, that the scrum half could have seen red card for the tackle. 28 minutes and a bit gone on 5 Live. Leicester 7, Saracens 3. Leicester making the most of the extra man with that Hanro Liebenberg try as the final starts to bubble up and boil over potentially. Penalty advantage to Saracens, and I can imagine Sarries will take their time with the man down. Farrell does a kind of flip to Daley, They'll just take. Oh, he flips it to Maitland. So Champagne stuff with the advantage, but Saracens kind of aren't even bothering to support. They just want the penalty, don't they? Because they know that every second is a second closer to getting back to 15.
Well, Farrell just tried to throw it on the floor behind his back. Elliot Daley so skillful, he picked it up off his toes and carried on playing. But it was definitely hands on heads time from the rest of the Saracens team. They don't want the advantage. They want to bang it in the corner or go for goal, because Daley's got the ball in his hand. Just signal to the ref.
Daley going for a long range one, and maybe it's one for half time and we've got some more time. But Tom, it's concerning that if you as a current player or a player who just has stepped away from the game is in no real idea what's a red and what's a yellow, do you reckon that's a feeling shared by a lot of players across the league and the game as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is sanitise the game with more and more regulation and more rules, but we need some level of consistency. I mean, that's the thing. And when you start changing rules within a season, or changing what you're going to emphasise and various directives to referees, how can we play one way all year and then have the semi-final and final referee completely differently? I find that absolutely bizarre, and it could really affect someone's day-to-day. It could affect the outcome of the game, could affect an individual. You get a red card or a yellow, completely changes the outcome today. The referee plays a massive part, and we've got to have some consistency in it.
Elliot Daley lining up a long ranger. This would take a bit of a sting out of that Leicester try, because there are a lot of Tigers fans in here, and they were cock a hoop after that Liebenberg try. But Daley will take his time and then unleash his massive missile of left boot. Oh, that's a beautiful kick. That is as good a place kick as you'll see. The strike so clean, the direction perfect, and Daley jogs back to his position in the midfield, having taken the final to a 1-point game. Leicester 7, Saracens 6, and as a kicker who knocked over 400 points for England, that's one after your own heart, Paul Grayson. Yeah, lovely strike. Not anywhere near on the edge of his range, but for a guy who just steps up for the long ones, his hit rate is awesome. Nikasikwa takes the restart for Saracens. I wonder who's the happier of the two teams on 30 minutes. Tough one to call. Saracens
they should have a red card. They'll be delighted.
Yeah, fair point. And we've yet to really see them play either, have we? And we know it's coming, as Harlequins felt to their ill fortune last weekend. Farrell finds Tompkins, who's off on a mazy run. We've seen that plenty for Saracens and for Wales. Good has gone into place for a while. This is how good this guy is. He'll go in and play at 9 and not miss a trick. Stewart from the backfield sets it up, but Saracens have Leicester where they want them with 4 minutes left on the Simbin clock. Leicester 7, Saracens 6, the Premiership final. Live on 5 Live Sport. And we're across the sporting world, as we always are on a Saturday afternoon. Rugby league, horse racing from Ascot, swimming from Budapest, the F1, the tennis, the golf, the T20, all covered on your home of live news and sport. Wigglesworth taking his time, and Sarries won't mind that with Davis in the sin bin. Billy Vunapola's going to have to take this one. He does a little jump, not quite as elegant as Freddie Stewart, but he manages to take it and then make a few metres. Having a good game, isn't he, Billy Vunapola? Here's brother Mako on his 200th for his club, Mako Vunapola. Good goes into play 9, back to Farrell. Farrell is charged down by Wigglesworth. He doesn't know where the ball's gone. Ashton does. Chris Ashton going for the corner. He kicks back inside. Maroney, he then kicks. Farrell's in his own dead ball area, and Farrell is taken down. Clever play by Wigglesworth with the charge, Ashton with the kick. Julian Montoya's revving the crowd up, unless they have a 5-metre scrum.
Yeah, agreed.
Took the gamble, Richard Wigglesworth, on the ball going back to Owen Farrell, shot out of the line, managed to get the charge down. He had no idea where it had gone. It was actually out in front of him. And then Ashton picked it up, went for a cute little kick back inside, which was partially charged by 2 covering Saracens defenders. Farrell carried it over the try line and then got pinned in by 3 Tigers players. Good reactions again to unscripted events by Leicester.
Okay, just maybe that's a bit of a selection decision paying off there with the likes of Richard Wigglesworth and Chris Ashton, knowing the Saracens game plan, knowing their mindset, and also knowing the individuals like Owen Farrell and how they can get to them.
And Tom, they've got to get this scrum right, Leicester, because they conceded a penalty when they last had a 5-metre scrum close to Sarri's line. What do they do now to make sure they get the ball back?
Well, hopefully from their point of view, the likes of Genge and Cole, experienced operators, can fix whatever the issue was, whether it's a conversation with Wayne Barnes or amongst themselves, to make sure that they don't give a cheap one away here and they can launch an attack.
Great noise from the Tigers fans. They've scored the finals only try through Liebenberg.
They can't hit this side, it's different here.
Got to say, we've been looking right, haven't we, from our perfect vantage point. A lot of play has been down this corner. Leicester Tigers haven't been at this stage for 9 years. They don't want the opportunity to go begging as the scrum resets, Tom.
It's not generally in Leicester's DNA to play away from scrum. You know, they want to get scrum dominance here, big part of their game. They want to impose themselves. But for the sake of keeping the ball alive and launching an attack and building some pressure in Leicester's 22, they might be best to get this ball in and out the scrum as quickly as they can and then launch their power play with their pick and goes and their strong ball carriers.
Well, the scrum has collapsed. It's going to be a penalty to Leicester. Christoph Ridley on the near touchline, I think's got that one. Dan Cole was flat on his face, but so too was Mako Vunipola. And Cole is kind of sidling away as if he's happy with that one without being ecstatic. Maybe that was a 50-50 that went Leicester's way. And it looks like Genge might tap and go here. Rather than scrum again, with the penalty they're going to tap and look to go to the pick and goes. Genge to within 2 metres. Finds Wigglesworth, set move, round the corner come the Tigers, and they've scored another one. Really clever play from Leicester, that's off the training paddock. Jasper Wiese.
Running is good.
Powers over. The Tigers have their second try, and you can feel the energy all round Twickenham from their supporters.
It's a brilliant bit of tactical play. Always pick and goes tend to go away from the touchline towards the post. Genge looked infield and then stepped away to the right, which took him to the last Saracens forward. And Wiese came round the corner. He's got 2 backs in front of him. Nobody guarding the side of the breakdown with any strength. It was Good, in fact, who was there, as opposed to someone like Itoje or Koch. So Wiese could go low and drive over the line. Brilliant bit of planning.
Yeah, Wiese's built like a breeze block, and it's hard to stop at the best of times, but he's come round that corner at full tilt into backs that are just not built to stop him. You know, he's only ever going to be one winner there. Like you say, really clever play, because they all lined up in field traditionally. They looked left and then they went right, and then they were too quick for the Saracens cover defence sweeping around that corner.
And clever, because so often teams would rather scrum again or kick for the corner there, wouldn't they?
And tactically you'd also expect Leicester to do that, so there's a little bit of bluff in there.
Freddie Burns, he's not kicked another one, has he? No, that one has stayed up to the right. Let's go touchline with Sarah Orchard. I imagine the Leicester bench were up on their feet there, Sarah.
There's a huge number of smiling Leicester faces. I have to say, as much as they are enjoying this, it's still quite tense down here. Nonetheless, because George Ford actually went down the tunnel after he came off the pitch. I saw his ankle. It was really swollen up, very red. He's come back out in a protective boot and crutches. And his dad, Mike Ford, has now come to join him from the crowd. He's been allowed to come down into the technical area. And they're having a conversation now, just father and son, very just close to them, and you can see that George Ford is clearly upset about what has gone on and that his final is over.
Yeah, Mike Ford was part of the coaching team here at Leicester under Steve Borthwick until reasonably recently. We're going to go to Royal Ascot fairly soon for the Hardwick Stakes with Darren Owen as we tick towards half-time at Twickenham, and Leicester would take 12-6 now. A few moments ago we said Sarries might be the happier of the two teams, but Leicester have this 6-point foothold. Alex Good drops into the tackle, so no foul play. Here's Ben Earl. It'd be just typical of Sarries to grab a score on the stroke of half-time, wouldn't it? Davis is now back on, so it's 15 on 15. And the Welshman finds Mako Vunipola on the halfway line. Aled Davis now, Alex Good up from fullback, out to Elliot Daley, Daley to Malins, simple stuff but makes 7 or 8 metres, good tackling by the Tigers. Davis infield to McFarland, he's been quiet but expect something from him at some point in this game. Farrell on the gain line, inside to Ben Earl, just starting to put together the phases, Sarries, we've hardly seen this today. Farrell from Vunipola, Farrell makes half a break, trying to attack the line. Owen Farrell flipping it out to Mako Vunipola, who's making a line break here. Mako Vunipola 30 metres out, much better from Sarries, their best pattern of this final. McFarland, Vunipola, good offloading. Farrell, Daley on the wide channels to Alex Good. Good kicks through, maybe kicked a bit early, but Stewart's in trouble here. Stewart, is he caught behind his dead ball line? Stewart just about manages to get out of trouble, and it's a penalty to Leicester. Stewart and the Tigers survive. A high tackle from Saracens, and let's go racing the Hardwick Stakes with Darren Owen.
A furlong and a half to go, and Broome is in front and leads by a couple of lengths, and making a charge down the outside is Mostadaf, and the favourite Hurricane Lane, a dual classic winner from last year, is beaten and will have to settle for the bronze medal position, as Broome will take it for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. Broome is the winner, Mostadaf is second, and Hurricane Lane is third. Broome, who was second in the race last year, has gone one better. Hurricane Lane went off favourite, dual classic winner from last season, only third. Broome returns the 6-1 winner of the Hardwick Stakes.
Beautifully done, Darren, and back with Darren in the Platinum Jubilee Stakes at 20 past 4, but Sarries got so close there to their first try as Stewart was on his own goal line, but he was tackled high. Leicester clear to touch. Big moment in the final.
Yeah, it certainly was, but a little bit of unstructured play there from Saracens, a show and go and an offload from Farrell, show and go and an offload from Mako Vunipola. They look much more threatening when they play at pace and keep the ball moving, Sarries.
I wonder if both teams look that bit more threatening when they keep it in hand. Leicester's first try came down this side when Stewart made the break. Even though the kicking game obviously has its rewards, I imagine it's about getting that balance right. 12-6 to Leicester, 40 seconds left. And if you're Richard Wigglesworth, do you just say, right, let's get in for half-time? And I was going to say here what the coaches have to say. He's one of those coaches. Through comes Good, doesn't take it. Backwards off Green, so Leicester's ball with 20 seconds left of the first half of the Premiership final. Now it might be back on Saracens' side. It is. And Malins goes into play 9. Now Mako Vunipola, now Farrell, out to Alex Good. Dangerous runners here. Elliot Daley jinking off his left foot, just short of the halfway line. Does Sarries keep playing, or do they want to just get rid of the ball and get into the shed for half time? They trail by 6. Mako Vunipola sets it up. Slow ruck ball though for Sarries. And Daley finds Billy Vunipola out the back to Farrell, over to Tompkins. Oh, good ball, just about makes it to Malins. If that had stayed in hand to Maitland, he could have been away. But Sarries have moved into Leicester's half, where they haven't been all that often in this first half. Now Farrell just playing with a bit more tempo. Owen Farrell, good offload, Billy Vunipola, and Nikasikwa drops that. That looked a decent enough pass from Farrell, knocked on by Asikwa, and that will be that for the first half. 2 tries for the Leicester Tigers, Hanro Liebenberg and Jasper Wiese, both forward efforts from close range. Saracens have kicked their points through Owen Farrell and Elliot Daley. Leicester 12, Saracens 6. Interestingly poised, Sonia.
That fast 40 minutes went so fast. It's so much happening. A yellow card, probably should have been a red. 2 tries. George Ford off with an ankle injury, which has ended his game. So absorbing. Paul Grayson, Chris asked you this question during commentary. Who's the happier?
Yeah, well, at that point when there was only a point in it, and Sarries dodged the bullet of what Tom and I think was a stone cold red card. Sarries definitely, but that last 10 minutes there, Leicester really came to the fore, found clever bit of play when they had the 5 metre scrum. They didn't re-scrum, scored from a pre-planned kind of dummy pick and go setup, which shows the intellect of the coaches, or one of the players has come up with the idea. You don't know, but it's a great little, not a trick play for a final, but something that totally took Saracens by surprise. So they've ended that half really well. Sarries playing a bit by the halfway line, ultimately making the mistake. So yeah, it's shifted. It's no longer Sarries, it's Leicester who will be the happier in the changing rooms.
And Tom, as a back row forward yourself, how much can you just sit back and admire the way that Leicester created those 2 tries for forwards in each instance?
Yeah, I mean, they showed some great forward power in there. I said in commentary that I thought they were a bit too patient, slowing their own ball down a huge amount, allowing Sarries to reset, and at that stage you perhaps back Sarries' defence to be on top. But they showed their raw power. Liebenberg, I think it was, got over in the corner, and then on that was real rugby intellect to have that set up on the left-hand side. Everything looked traditional about it. Obviously opted not to go for the scrum, which would be Leicester's DNA usually, and then they did that double hit back down the short side. And you know, when you've got someone like Jasper Wiese running at full tilt at anyone in world rugby really, but especially backs, there's only ever going to be one winner.
Got to watch your blind side, haven't you, in rugby, as Paul Grayson nods. We've got lots of small children on the pitch here at Twickenham to experience the big day out for themselves with a bit of mini rugby and entertain the crowd in the process. We'll be back for the second half of Leicester against Saracens, with Leicester 2 tries to the good, leading by 12 points to 6. Plenty more rugby and other sport this afternoon to come after the news with Anna Foster.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The chief executive of the organisation UK Hospitality says next week's rail strikes could cost the industry more than £500 million. 40,000 rail workers are set to walk out next Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday in a dispute about pay and conditions. These people in York are worried about the impact.
I am going to be inconvenienced by it. I'm sort of travelling to Hull on Tuesday for work, and I'm having to sort of manage the bus services.
My sister is actually having cancer treatment and in London, and that's affecting her treatment next week, so she's having to stay over there in a hotel.
You know, everyone deserves fair terms and conditions, but it will impact so many people.
The Prime Minister says government plans to electronically tag some asylum seekers will stop them from vanishing into the rest of the country. The Home Office says the scheme would help to monitor those who cross the channel in small boats or in the back of lorries. The refugee councils described the scheme as appalling. Tens of thousands of people are marching in central London, calling on the government to do more to tackle the cost of living crisis. Trade union leaders, frontline workers and community organisations are demanding what they say must be a better deal for workers struggling to cope. The family of the British journalist Dom Phillips, who was found dead in the Amazon, say they want justice. The Brazilian authorities have confirmed one of 2 bodies found in the rainforest was his. The other is thought to be his travelling companion, Bruno Pereira. Mr. Phillips' brother-in-law is Paul Sherwood.
He was a cautious man. He wasn't reckless. He planned these trips, and Bruno was the guy who understood this part of the world better than probably any non-Indigenous person. But no, he would have been aware that there would be many people who would be happy to see the back of him, because it was inconvenient truths that he was uncovering.
And new songs from 4 unsigned acts recorded at Sir Paul McCartney's former childhood home in Liverpool are being released to celebrate his 80th birthday. Matthew Street in the city, the home of the Cavern Club, has been renamed McCartney Street for a week in his honour.
Hello, I'm Chris Warburton. Welcome to The Staircase, the real story.
She was madly in love with Michael.
It was all good, but if he wasn't the centre of attention, he would just wander off.
It's the story that just never ends. As the HBO Sky Atlantic series The Staircase airs all around the world, we're going to tell you the real story behind the death of Kathleen Peterson.
How am I going to clean this up? That's all I'm thinking. How can I clean up all this blood?
The Staircase, the real story.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Sonia McLaughlin.
Welcome back to Twickenham, which is plenty of hubbub here as the fans discuss what they've seen in that first 40. It's advantage Leicester. They lead by 12 points to 6 at the break in this Premiership final. We will be back for the second half very, very shortly. But let's nip round our other live sport this afternoon, and we can start at the Halliwell-Jones Stadium in Warrington first, because England's women taking on France in preparations for the Rugby League World Cup later on. Dave Woods.
Yes, 28 minutes played. England leading here by 10 points to 0. Holly Dodd, the first scorer, 17 minutes. Lovely little pass from Georgia Roach to send Dodd, who ran the angle through the middle of the French defence. And we've just seen a moment ago Jodie Cunningham at the end of a sweeping move just popping one out for Caitlin Beavers to dive in at the corner as well. Tara Stanley has converted one of those 2. France utterly dominant for the first 10 minutes or so with their big pack, but England slowly growing into the game and are now very much on top and are leading here. It's going to be more, because this is a charging run from Amy Hardcastle, who's a real showstopper of a player, is Amy Hardcastle, and at that range and with that opportunity she ain't going to miss, has run through to score again underneath the sticks. So 14-0 for England, which will be 16-0 surely in just a moment or so.
And your impressions of England thus far, Dave?
Well, I mean, a real pressure in that first 10 minutes, as I was saying. They really withstood some real questions being asked of them, and then they looked a little clunky in attack, but now they appear to have got it all together again. 3 tries in the space of 13 minutes, and they look as though they're well and truly on top here now.
Yeah, later today it's England's men against the Combined Nations All-Stars. That kicks off at 5:45. Let's go to the tennis at Queen's next, because it's semi-finals day there, and we find our correspondent Russell Fuller.
Matteo Berrettini is the first finalist. The defending champion has beaten Botic van der Zandschulp 6-4, 6-3. Excellent serving, although he was broken once. He created also no fewer than 15 break points in the 2 sets required. Brief interruption for some rain, 20 minutes through. Filip Krajinovic and Marin Cilic hoping to continue their match under cloudy skies now. They are out on court ahead of the second semi-final. News from Birmingham, the rain there has been more persistent. There will be no play today. In Halle in Germany, the world number 1 Daniel Medvedev has just reached the final. And if you missed the news earlier, Naomi Osaka, the 4-time Grand Slam champion, has pulled out of Wimbledon. Her Achilles injury will not heal in time.
And the music blaring out at Twickenham. We've got children in the stands dancing. We've got children on the pitch, actually, who are thoroughly enjoying their chance to play a little bit of mini rugby. Maybe they will one day follow in the footsteps of Owen Farrell or Billy Vunipola or George Ford, or any of the number of superstars that we've got on show today at Twickenham. Although I should say, of course, that George Ford had to come off in that first half. His day as a Leicester Tigers player over, because he's going off to Sale next season. Now we're going to go to Ascot next to get some build-up to the main race of the day there, which is the Platinum Jubilee Stakes. And I wonder, could the biggest prize of the day being heading down under? John Southall has the latest from the course.
Well, Sonia, we're just down around the parade ring. Gary Crisp, a veteran of the Australian scene, joins us. Just talk about the 2 big Australian hopes in the race.
Yes, John, well, Home Affairs obviously is favourite for the race, and he's been firming in the market almost since Tuesday, since we saw what Nature Strip did to the King Stanfield. And Artorias is a less known Australian raider, but I think certainly the forgotten runner of the race as far as Australia was concerned.
Yeah, talk about Artorias first, because I think a lot of people obviously are talking about Home Affairs, but actually it may be that Artorias is the one.
Well, yes, I mean, we believe you need a good 1400 metre horse to win this race, a good 7 furlong horse, and that's certainly been borne out in previous winners of the race, like Choisir and Star Spangled Banner, and of course Black Caviar, all had form at 1400 metres. Artorias does have form at 1400 metres. He was desperately unlucky in the Newmarket handicap last start. He went to the outside of the track where he should have stayed in the rails. He would have won that race. He actually beat Home Affairs home in that race, and he's only had a couple of runs this year, and he's very lightly raced, and I believe he's done very well here. And as you've seen, I think the market has probably got it a bit wrong. The 2 of them should be closer in the market, I believe, on their form.
And could it be a great day for Australia today?
Oh, look, I think it could be. I mean, I think Home Affairs will run well. I think the last 100 metres is probably his big query, but certainly he'll arrive here in tip-top form. There's no better trainer, as you know, than Chris Waller to get a horse right on the day, and I think that you'll see him run very well. But yeah, I don't think Artorias will be far behind it.
Interesting views there from Gary Crisp, talking about the Australian contenders in our big race, the Platinum Jubilee. Well, we've seen one Australian sprinter take top honours this week here at Royal Ascot. That was when Nature Strip won the King's Stand on Tuesday. The stable companion is Home Affairs, and at the moment Home Affairs is at the top of the market at 2-1. And we heard there from Gary Crisp saying that he thinks that the betting is wrong in this country. They should be closer together. Well, Artorias is the second favourite, being around about 7-1 about the fellow Australian Artorias, Jamie Spencer aboard. And then leading the home brigade, we've got Sacred, who is trained by William Haggis. Tom Marquand aboard, hasn't a run this season, around about 8-1 in the market, with Highfield Princess, who's looking to complete a hat-trick of wins, trained by John Quinn in Malton in North Yorkshire, partnered by Jason Hart. Highfield Princess, the mare, is looking to complete a hat-trick of wins, as I was saying, and that one around about 9-1. It's about 10-12-1 and bigger the rest of them. So the big question is the Platinum Jubilee going down under for a third time? Home Affairs and Artorias representing Australia.
Thank you very much, Darren. Yeah, that race off at 4:20. We could have some weekend on our hands at the US Open Golf over at the country course in Brookline, Massachusetts. Third round is underway. Plenty of big names, including Rory McIlroy, right in the mix at the top of the leaderboard. And we can cross there live now for the first time. Speak to our correspondent, Ian Carter. Hi, Ian.
Hi Sonia, yes, it's a star-studded leaderboard. Really looking forward to this weekend's action. We're going to have to wait a while for it. Really late tee-off times for the leaders today. 4:45 local time, so 8:45 your time, when Colin Morikawa and Joel Damon tee off in the final pairing, both at 5 under par. But as you say, just a fantastic chasing pack. Morikawa, obviously the reigning Open champion, the reigning US Open champion Jon Rahm is at 4 under par, 1 shot behind. Rory McIlroy, who I think's really battled extremely well, especially yesterday. I think he's in the mood this weekend, and he's just 1 shot behind as well. And the world number 1, Scotty Scheffler, the reigning Masters champion, very much in the mix at 3 under par, as is Matt Fitzpatrick, who's got so many great memories of this place, having won the US Amateur here back in 2013, just 3 shots behind. So for several players, this could be a really, really big weekend.
Commentary on 5 Sports Extra tonight from 10 with Ian Carter. That follows commentary on the qualifying session, actually, for tomorrow's Canadian Grand Prix. Coverage of that from 5 to 9. We're going to go to the cricket now, of course, the Vitality T20 Blast. Bottom of the table, Worcestershire Rapids. They're playing host to the Northampton Steelbacks, a side who are eyeing the top of the table. Nikesh is there.
Yeah, Northamptonshire tied with Lancashire at the top of that North group. Unfortunately, Sonia, though, the drizzle has continued to fall throughout the afternoon here, so we've yet to have a start time for this particular match. Good news is, though, some of the covers just starting to come off at the moment. Still plenty of surface water around, so we'll wait and see if we can possibly get cleared up and get underway for a reduced overs game here. Good news up in Chesterfield, though. That game between Yorkshire and Derbyshire has gone ahead as planned. Started at 2:30. Yorkshire have finished their first innings. Derbyshire winning the toss, deciding to field, and Yorkshire 175 all out off the last ball of the innings. Harry Brook top scoring for them, the captain, 77 from just 50. Finn Allen at the top of the order with a really good 37 from 17. 3 wickets for Mark Watt as well. So a stiff target for Derbyshire to chase. 176 the target. They'll be getting underway in a few moments time. And we had a few problems with the line on 5 Live Sports Extra. Hopefully we'll have that up and running for a few minutes time for when Derbyshire get that chase underway. So that one underway. Glamorgan versus Gloucestershire at 6:30 tonight as well. No play here yet at New Road between Worcestershire and Northamptonshire, but more covers coming off as we speak, so fingers crossed for that one.
Thank you very much. Saracens are back out, ready for this second half of the Gallagher Premiership final. We're still awaiting the Leicester Tigers. Time for me to tell you that Manchester City's Lucy Bronze, in other sports news, has joined Barcelona on a 2-year deal. The Lioness has previously been linked with a move to the US. And England bowler Catherine Brunt has made the decision to retire from Test cricket. She's chosen to prioritise the white ball game. So Leicester Tigers have now emerged. They're playing from right to left in this second half. As we look at it, we've got some more pyrotechnics. Tom Wood, Paul Grayson and Chris Jones, you guys were nattering away with each other at half-time. I was a bit jealous I couldn't join in. What was the gist of the conversation, Chris?
Well, I wanted to know from Tom whether, having just retired, whether he's missing it and wanting to be out there, or whether he's happy up here with us. And also that red card, and just the way they're being officiated at the moment, it's going to be a hot topic that people are going to be talking about after as well.
Red card or not, as it was in this instance. Can I ask a quick question? If that had been a forward on a back making that tackle, it would have been a red, wouldn't it?
And that's exactly Tom's point. We're underway, so I'm going to bring Tom in on that, Sonj, but that's exactly what Tom was saying. If you're the bigger man and you kind of, in inverted commas, win the collision, you're now getting a red, but the smaller player is getting away with it. So, yeah, that's going to rumble. But Saris have kept 15 on the pitch, and the man who was yellow carded, Elliot Daley, is back on, and he's cleared. Saris were out first and early, and they have also made a change. We're going to go down to Sarah Orchard at pitch side very, very shortly. Let's just see how the first passage of this second half unfolds. Leicester 12, Saracens 6. As Wigglesworth, remember there's Ben Young's no shortage of experience at scrum half for Leicester. Youngs is poised on the bench. Good tackling coming in by Leicester. Next score could be huge in this final as Sarries prepared to clear their line. So tell us what's happened at half-time for Sarries, Sarah.
Yeah, it looks like Alex Lozowski has come onto the field of play. Sean Maitland has gone onto the bench, so it looks like Elliot Daley's moved out to the wing. Lozowski's come into the midfield as I have things thrown at me by our TV colleagues, which is very kind of them. But also worth mentioning, the whole England coaching bench is here as well. Directly behind me, I've got Eddie Jones, I've got Richard Cockerell. They are all there. Matt Proudfoot watching on ahead, of course, of that Barbars match tomorrow. Yeah, Barbars match, and then the squad announced on Monday morning for the tour of Australia. Special Rugby Union Weekly podcast coming with Sarah and Ugo Monya and Eddie Jones. That'll be out later on Monday as Jones picks his squad to fly to Australia on Tuesday for that 3-test series, which will be live on 5 Live Sport every Saturday for the first 3 weekends in July. Leicester win the line out and they drive it on, and they've got the penalty advantage, and it's another show of strength from the Tigers pack. Freddie Burns wide, ball out to Maroney, good hands to Harry Potter. Potter against Lozowski, runs straight into Lozowski, almost freed his arms to release Freddie Stewart. Another advantage, this one's against Lozowski. Stewart kicks, Maroney has it, a bit messy on this near side, but still there for Leicester, who are making everything happen in this final. They've got the 2 tries and they've got the scoreboard lead. 12-6 to Leicester. Burns' kick, across goes Good, and we will go back for Lozowski not rolling away. Penalty to Leicester, and a chance, you'd imagine, for Freddie Burns to turn 6 points into 9 points, and suddenly it becomes a fairly sizable Tigers lead. Or is this on the edge of range, Paul?
Yeah, it depends. I'm just looking away to the left, Chris, at the flags on top of the stadium. There is a strong breeze, always swirls in Twickenham. Might be just fractionally against Freddie Burns here. He's having a shot. He's right on the cross of the 5-metre line and the 10-metre line on the left, just inside the left-hand touchline in the Sarries half. If he pings it, he'll have the distance, but not a lot to spare.
So a stat's been messaged to me by the rugby stats guru Russ Petty, and Russ says the team with the half-time lead has won 16 out of 18 Premiership finals. 16 out of 18, but the last team to come from behind at half-time, you've guessed it, Saracens, 6 points behind in 2019 against Exeter, and they won. We're going to go to the Rugby League with Dave Wood shortly, but this is a big kick for Leicester and for Freddie Burns, because a 9-point lead in finals rugby suddenly starts to ask questions even of this Sarries side that have been there and done it so many times. Burns lumps it. Is that just missing to the left? It is. He had the distance, not the direction. It stays Leicester 12, Saracens 6. Come in, Dave Woods at the Halliwell Jones.
Half-time, England winning 16, French winning 4. A late try in the half from Christina Sampouche, giving the French the first foothold in the game, but England will be generally pleased with that first half performance. 16-4 they lead at half-time.
Many thanks, Dave. Back with Dave later on as England play the Combined Nations All-Stars in the back-to-back matches there. Paul Grayson, good move for Burns to go for the goal, ultimately though without the points.
Yeah, he was only a foot away to the left. Shot to nothing really, because they get the ball back from the 22.
12-6 to Leicester, and notable how Saracens came out early, notable how they've made a change, as Sarah Orchard was explaining. Alex Lozowski on for Sean Maitland. They won't mind being behind Sarries, and when they get ahead they're almost impossible to claw back, but you wonder whether the next score is going to be very important in this final. A word from Tom Woods shortly as this kick tennis continues from Freddie Burns and Owen Farrell. Farrell gathers it just outside his own 22. He sends a towering up and under that goes over the stands in the greying Twickenham sky. Burns does well and then throws a pass that somehow Stewart took one-handed, and then he had to kick because he was off balance. Farrell flips it inside to Ben Earl, and Sarries have it inside their own half centre field. Billy Vanapola distributing. Farrell over to Tompkins. Tompkins has Daley outside. Daley down the left touchline. Nice kick is that from Daley, just sits up for Ashton, back to Potter, and that's a decent enough territorial game for Saracens. No, it stays in play, and Farrell takes it. He offloads. Plenty more offloading from Saracens than maybe we're used to, but Leicester are on that ball, clamped on looking for the turnover, and they have turned the ball over, Leicester, and they may want to go with this turnover ball. Wigglesworth ducks under Itoje. Genuinely feared for Wigglesworth's safety there, but he used all the nous of those 39 years. Good drops it on his boot. It's frantic, but it's compelling. This one, though, will dribble dead, and Potter will clear rather than touchdown for the goal line dropout. Daley scoops it up on halfway, inside to Tompkins. Tompkins off his left to Max Malins in centre field. Plenty of ballers in this Saracens back line. Bang in centre field. Another turnover for Leicester. They're astonishing at the breakdown at the moment, and Burns hacks it clear, and Tom would have word on that breakdown battle. Leicester seem to be winning time and again.
Yeah, I'm not sure who got that one. Was it Refall? But I saw Montoya get the one previously. Really good turnover. Both teams suddenly happy to keep the ball in play a lot more. Really long phase of play there as it just goes out now. But, you know, end-to-end stuff a little bit.
And enterprising stuff too. Both teams just looking for that entry point into the game, the tactical kicking battle where they go long. Both sets of forwards hanging around the halfway line, trying to cover as little yardage as possible and conserve energy. But then as soon as there's a little opening, Freddie Burns down this left-hand side, Alex Good over on the far side. Both teams happy to attack and try and keep the ball in play.
How much would have been said at half-time? You guys have both played in massive finals like this. Is it a few short, sharp messages from the coaches, or do they get a bit more detail, Tom?
I'd imagine both sets of coaches would have been saying things like trust the plan, stick to the game plan, stick to the things we've been working on all week, don't let the occasion get the better of you, stay in the moment, and just have trust in all the things we worked on and all the things that have got us to this stage. Don't go off script and things like that. That would be the bigger message. I was expecting a bit more pragmatism at the start of the second half. I was expecting them to go back to that kick battle, but both teams seem to be probing and keeping ball in hand and ball in play a little bit more.
Owen Farrell from Davis's pass. He sees some grass, Owen Farrell. That's a good kick, because the ball going dead isn't what it used to be with the goal line dropout. Freddie Burns goes under his own crossbar and he looks for touch. Does he find it? No, it's going to sit up for Daley on the left-hand touchline. Infield, he goes to Farrell, who's everywhere in this final, Owen Farrell. So too is Billy Vanapola, who's really making a statement to Eddie Jones. Saracens slow ball as Leicester pour off their feet. Davis now, centre field, 35 metres out for Mako Vanapola. Just get a sense the Sarries are getting their shape together. Goods up from fullback, nice pass to Daley, who goes on a crash ball. They're almost chucking it away from the breakdown to avoid those Leicester scavengers. Tompkins sets it up just short of the 22. Davis has McFarlane, the Samoan. Out the back he finds Farrell. Farrell to Mako Vanapola. Offload to Farrell. Farrell now to Lasowski. Good spin and turn from Alex Lasowski. On the 22 for Saracens, but knocked on. Lost forward, and Stewart gleefully hacks it clear and is urged to chase after it by the whole of the city of Leicester. That one could be a 50-22 from Stewart, and it is an amazing kick from Freddie Stewart. A huge territorial swing as Saracens pressed. Stewart lumped it downfield from deep inside his own half, and it's a 50-22, which means the line out will be Leicester's 20 metres from the Saracens line.
Just as Saracens were building up a head of steam, the Vanapola brothers to the fore, riding contact, getting offloads away, and then it's either a turnover or a mistake by Saracens, which gives Leicester the ball back. Freddie Stewart puts boot to ball from inside his own 22. It rolls out just inside the Saracens 22. Huge territorial gain, having ridden the storm. They're on the edge in the breakdown. Tom, hands on the floor a little bit, but making good decisions.
Well, yeah, and with Saracens' more enterprising offloading game, obviously you get the reward, but occasionally the risk and reward ratio is not quite there, and they've thrown a couple of loose ones, and suddenly, you know, you see a massive territorial shift like that. Tommy Reffel's all over the ball. He's had a few really good interventions, and Montoya as well had a great turnover in that last phase of play. So, you know, they're starting to get the edge there. Saracens look powerful on the front foot. They're playing some direct rugby and getting the ball back out of contact really well, but they are exposing themselves once or twice uncharacteristically.
Leicester lead by 6 in the Premiership final. Another try would ask serious questions of Saracens on their return to the Twickenham showpiece. One at the front of the line out, and the Leicester hordes urge a heave. Wigglesworth Finds Gens, they've got penalty advantage as Saracens go in at the side. Montoya on a big carry into opposite number Jamie George. Slap bang in centre field. Not going to look for a drop goal is Freddie Burns, just to keep the scoreboard ticking. No, still there for Wigglesworth. Burns chips for himself, that's trademark. Davis goes to take it, then loses it. Ezekiel gathers it, but no advantage in at the side. Number 3.
Montoya did really well to get that ball back out of the maul because Saracens had run around the outside. They didn't change their binds, they were legal, but they'd made a right mess of it, and Montoya got his hands free and managed to recover that ball.
He's a good player, Freddie Burns, when the game starts to break up. Vastly experienced, highly skillful, knows when he's got an advantage, clever short kicking game. He can be an absolute match winner when he's on. He looks calm and relaxed today since George Ford's gone off.
Pivotal moment in the destiny of the Premiership title. 11 minutes into the second half, 29 minutes of the English season left. Leicester 12, Saracens 6. Leicester kick for the corner, 5 metres out. If they get their drills right, they've got one hand on the trophy. Montoya throws, taken at the front. Heave is the cry from the travelling Leicester support. Good spinning ball this by the Tigers. They've got advantage. This is only ending one way, surely. Saracens' bodies all over the place. They're starting to panic, Sarries. They're pulling down the maul. There's an advantage. We'll go back for the penalty, and questions are being asked, not just of Saracens here, guys, but also of the referee, as the penalties in the red zone rack up, Tom Wood.
Yeah, they've got to keep applying the pressure now and force Wayne Barnes into a decision if they don't get immediate rewards in terms of a try. He's going to be under massive pressure now if another penalty is given.
Interesting, isn't it? The two Saracens second rows. Itoje just all arms and legs, just like an octopus getting his way into the middle of the maul. Ezekiel getting it slightly wrong, changing his bind, and the referee pinging him. Told Marrow he's fine. Nick Ezekiel wasn't, that's why they gave the penalty away. Leicester been dominant in the maul though, Tom.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they've got any tricks up their sleeves, do something a little bit different, or if they're just going to go route one and out power.
They go to the front, it looks pretty route one, this maul from Leicester. Saracens' bodies trying to repel it, but Leicester are driving mainly sideways, but the backs are getting involved now. Maroney's in there, Potter, Visa's at the back, one of the try scorers. The maul has gone to ground, and Sarries have done really well to repel that. Gens is by himself. He's tackled by Ezekiel, but the maul has been stopped, and for now Saracens survive, even though it's in Leicester possession. Wigglesworth digs forward, he's got a phalanx of forwards. Big tackling coming in by Saracens. If they survive this, it'll be an enormous boost for Sarries. But if Leicester score, they're so close to winning this title. Good spin out the tackle by Potter. 5 metres in from touch. Wigglesworth out to his forwards again, who carry with intensity. There for Wigglesworth. Out to Freddie Burns, who goes crossfield looking for Chris Ashton. Ashton v Daley. Well taken, Elliot Daley. What a take by the England. And Saracens back. He didn't call the mark, or did he? But that was Ashton against Daley, and Daley leaped just about high enough. He's then been bundled into touch, but he managed to save the day, even though he thought Paul Grayson he should have had a mark.
Yeah, if he's called the mark there and the referee's missed it, he'll be frustrated. Not entirely sure how you can prove that. When he put the ball over Burns there, I expected to see Freddie Stewart on the wing, standing at 6'5". Ashton rose high, but he's no bigger than Daley. A fair contest, and ultimately, if the referee doesn't change his mind, they've lost nothing, because they'll still have an attacking line out Leicester, because Ashton managed to tackle Daley into touch.
Huge boost for Sarries though, managing to repel that maul and then stand firm in the contact, where Leicester have been so powerful so far this game. They stood firm and forced them to go to that crossfield kick option. Let's go touchline with Sarah Orchard. Lots happening in terms of Leicester replacements, Sarah.
Yeah, that's right. We've got Dan Cole coming off the pitch. Of course, one of the players in this Leicester lineup who actually last won the Premiership when they were here in 2013. He comes off the field, and the young man in Joe Hayes. Couple of England caps his name. He comes on straight into that lineup.
And he might be in the England setup, Hayes, with Carl Sinclair missing the tour. So Eddie Jones will be eagerly watching the replacement tight head for Leicester. Leicester have the line out. Leicester win the line out, and Leicester will maul. Montoya's at the back of it. This looks well set from the Tigers. Itoje's trying to grab onto Montoya and doing a good job at slowing them all, but still there in Leicester possession, is it? Or has Itoje done an unbelievable job at slowing this maul up? The maul is edging towards the touchline. Can Sarries get it out, or are Leicester going to keep moving towards the try line? It's gone to ground. This should be a scrum to Saracens. Amazing defence from Sarries, led by Maro Itoje. But what a boost that is. They have the scrum.
It's the first time we've really seen that. Saracens, it's not forced energy, it's people running in off the back of extremely hard work by the forward pack, patting them on the back, saying, whooping and hollering. Psychological dominance after withstanding the storm and managing to force the turnover from the maul.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that really galvanises the team. 5 metres from your line, couple of big sets at maul time, big defensive sets, forcing Leicester to go away from their tactics and kick the ball cross field, managing to deal with that cross-field bomb, and hopefully from their point of view they're in control now. Take back dominance in the scrum, clear their lines, and they can breathe.
Huge scrum. I know we're saying that a lot, but we're getting to the stage of the final, nearing the hour mark, 24 minutes left, where every little set piece becomes important, every decision from the referee scrutinised. The game can hinge on a momentum swing here and there, and look forward to taking their time, Paul Grayson, to get this one right.
I'm not surprised. And actually, back in the old days, you would look at the Saracens bench, and they'd be bringing on Will Skelton, Schaltberger, Schaltbrits, absolute powerhouses, international players of world renown. Now the bench is a lot thinner than it used to be, so much more of these starting 15 players will have to last.
Scrum penalty, Saracens on their own 5 metre line. And another massive moment. And Tom Wood, you've played in Premiership finals. What will that do for Saracens, and what will it do for Leicester, knowing they couldn't have been much closer, but at the moment they're coming away empty-handed from that passage?
Well, much like any team, but especially Saracens, they thrive on moments like that. That's a huge energy giver for them. Massive get out of jail in terms of being under the pump on their line. And Leicester, you know, you've had penalties go their way, but no cards and no reward for a lot of effort in there. So incredibly frustrating for them. They've got to stay on task now.
Well, one at the back of the line now by McFarlane. Jamie George on point with his arrows as per usual. Saracens are 25 metres, maybe a few more from their own try line. We're going to go racing shortly with the Platinum Jubilee Stakes. The Queen, a very interested observer in this one, as we were hearing at half-time. So we're with Darren Owen shortly. 23 minutes left of the final at Twickenham. Leicester 12, Saracens 6, and Saracens have managed to get Leicester back inside their own half. I don't know how they've done that, given Leicester had a 5 metre line out a couple of minutes ago. 6 points in it. Who's scoring next? Who's taking that glistening Premiership trophy back home? Wigglesworth, who's still going at 39. He's played almost an hour of this final. That's a dangerous one for Billy Vunipola, who waited, did Billy, and then it kind of went off his knee, so it's safely back in Sarri's possession. We've
got to watch Billy Vunipola's mobility. He sat on the floor just for 30 seconds or so, holding his ankle. He didn't react well to that ball. It was only high skill that managed to get away with it.
Well, Sarries aren't taking chances in their own half. Kick by Davis, taken by Freddie Stewart. Saracens looking for the penalty. It's gone Leicester's way, though. Bennell can't believe it. He's looking at Wayne Barnes aghast. But it's a penalty to Leicester. It's out of range for Freddie Burns, but they will go towards the 22. Darren Owen come in from Royal Ascot.
So they've gone a furlong in the Platinum Jubilee Stakes, and out in front Campanelli, the US Challenger, Home Affairs, one of the Australian Raiders, is showing plenty of speed, and right there is Emirati Anna with Highfield Princess and Run to Freedom, Double or Bubble. We've got two groups over on the far side, Minzal and Kinross. They're hunting up the pace setters, and they are being followed then by Grenadier Guards. On the near side it's Home Affairs, Dragon Symbol, being chased by a Naval Crown, and then Kingsley in the Royal Colours. Gustavus Western is following, and now they're inside the final quarter of a mile. And over on the far side, Grenadier Guards, a Japanese raider over on the far side with Minzal, Highfield Princess, Double or Bubble, and Campanelli Run to Freedom. And under the near side running rail is Naval Crown. Well inside the final furlong then, it's Campanelli boxing on, Naval Crown on the near side, Creative Forces running on strongly, and Artorius is flying at the death. Oh, it's close. Naval Crown, Creative creative force. It looks like a Godolphin 1-2. Which way, I don't know. Artorius, one of the Australian Raiders, has flown home in the end, and right in the mix there was the US challenger Campanelli, but on the near side it looks so Naval Crown. Oof, yes, I'd say Naval Crown just ahead of Creative Force, and it's tight for third between Campanelli and Artorius. A thriller.
Leicester go to within 5 metres. Ellis Genge powering on. Massive moment again in this final if Leicester can cross. They went from that penalty. They've taken play to within 6 or 7 metres under the crossbar. Out it goes to the forwards. 12-6 to Leicester. Hour gone. Penalty to Saracens. Just when we think one team is about to take hold of this final, the other one survives. Great work at the breakdown from Saracens, but they have been under pressure all afternoon, and will even the Saracens defence start to creak. They survive for now, but Leicester still lead by 6.
Just while we were listening to the racing, we got a replay of the Ben Earl penalty.
So a Leicester player down.
Tom Wood shaking his head that it wasn't really one. Maybe they've got justice there with Billy Vunipola coming up with the turnover in the shadow of his own posts.
Yeah, Ben Earl couldn't believe that decision went against him, and watching it back, I think he's really hard done by. He shows a clear release, he gets over the ball, he's in a strong position. The clear out isn't effective enough, and you know, he really should have got that one go his way. But as you say, vindication under the post there when they get one go back their own way.
Yeah, and Billy Vunipola was perfectly legal. If there was doubt over the Earl one, Vunipola, that was a good picture he showed the referee Wayne Barnes.
A couple of really nice touches from Ellis Genge in that phase of play as well. Good variety to his game, not just putting his head down and trundling into the nearest contact. Made a real neat pass that got him through the contact, and then followed up with another strong carry.
Theo McFarland off for Sarries, hasn't quite been able to stamp his authority on this final, but Andy Christie is on, another international who broke into the Scotland ranks early this year. Aled Davis kicked, and you do wonder whether Owen Farrell etc. might feel like taking an extra risk or two. They've probably played a bit more adventurously than Leicester, but this time Davis and Wigglesworth prepared to exchange box kicks. Everyone leaves it, and it will go out for a Saracens line-out. Right, 20 minutes left, Paul Grayson, of the Premiership season. Leicester 12, Saracens 6. Which way is this one going?
Well, you think about Saracens, and every team goes through a period in a final where things don't quite go their way. It's what happens in that period, whether you concede, whether you take on too much water, use too much defensive energy, that you can't bounce back from it in this last quarter. I would say Saracens need one break in the game to get themselves into the Leicester half, and that might be the lift that they need. If Leicester don't score soon, they might run out of chances.
Saracens win the line out through Christie. Yeah, if Sarries get ahead, you feel that might burst Leicester's bubble, but the longer it goes like this, the more Leicester will start to believe. Aled Davis kicks again. They're not veering away from this tactic to get out their own half. Taken by Freddie Stewart. There's Christie looking for that turnover, but that's easily cleared by Leicester. Tommy Raphael, the Welshman, he sets it up on his own 10-metre line. An hour gone. Twickenham, 5 Live Sport on this busy day as always on 5 Live for Sport. US Open Golf continues later on Sports Extra. Tomorrow night on 5 Live. We've got the Canada Grand Prix tomorrow from 6:30. Another touched upon from 9 o'clock, the final round of the US Open in Brookline. Mako Vunipola just short of the 10-metre line. As Sarries Davis finds Farrell, who kind of goes cross-field for Malins. Malins up against Potter here. Potter knocks on.
It's off the foot.
And then it's off the foot, so that's okay. Davis or Jamie George wanted that, but Farrell is going himself and almost made half a break. Now he's offloading to Davis. This is better from Sarries as Lazowski comes onto it at a bit of pace. Finally, Sarries with some territory. Itoje throws a dummy. Good clear by Farrell. By Tompkins, and now Farrell, Malins, Billy Vunipola on the far side. Much better attack this from Sarries, who are only 25 metres out now. A converted try puts them in the lead, Saracens. Mako Vunipola, Vincent Koch, his prop mate, just short of the 22. Good leg drive from the Springbok. Aled Davis now out to Owen Farrell. He's got a toe jib, he goes deep to Daley. Daley had Lazowski but couldn't link with him. But referee Wayne Barnes didn't feel it was obstruction from Lazowski. Still there for Saracens, who are asking questions of Leicester. Mako Vunipola with his head down, bang in centre field, 30 metres out. Owen Farrell, Vincent Koch, that move worked in the semi-final. Not this time, Leicester equal to it. Nika Sikwa, wearing number 5 for Saracens. Elliot Davis, tired bodies now at this stage of the season, at this stage of the final. Vunipola drives on. Tompkins picks, offloads to Farrell. Farrell spins, well played over Farrell. Over the 22 goes the England player. Alex Lozowski, powerful carry past Wigglesworth. They're asking questions again, Saracens. Player of the season, Ben Earl, hat-trick last week. Sets it up, 20 metres out, Sarries. Farrell throws a dummy, almost through, 10 metres out. Phase by phase, there might be an advantage for Saracens. Tompkins offloads to Christie. Lozowski, penalty advantage. Lozowski finds Billy Vunipola. It's breathless stuff from the men in black at Twickenham. Jamie George to Elliot Davis, centre field, 22. Lozowski with his head down. Can Leicester keep their shape in defence? Mako Vunipola. Number of offloads that Saracens have thrown, extraordinary. Farrell kicks for Malins, well covered Freddie Stewart, back for the penalty.
7 metres inside the 22.
22, bang in front. Right, what do you do here, Tom Wood and Paul Grayson? Let's get the backs and the forwards perspective. You're 6 points down, there are 16 minutes left. Do you kick for the corner or just take the 3?
You kick the goal, get your points on the board. There's a long time to go in this game yet.
Top 20 metres from touch.
That little change in momentum that I was talking about has just happened. Saracens worked their way up the pitch after a Leicester mistake. Suddenly they look energised and are being a little bit more creative. Tom probably wants a maul.
7-9. Yeah, pick and go here. 7 and 9. No, you've got to take the points right in front. It's about as much of an open goal as you can get. And after the onslaught that they've just weathered and made their way back down the pitch and taken back some momentum, they've got to take the points.
And changes, Sarah Orchard on the touchline. A lot of changes going on in the Leicester pack, and a significant change at number 9 as well.
There's no foul
yeah,
play.
A big one, because Ben Youngs is coming onto the field. Of course, he started that semi-final last week against Northampton, but he comes on now. He's going to see out this final, so that's the end of the final for Richard Wigglesworth, the former Saracens man, of course now player coach at Leicester. He actually has a little bit of exchange with Alex Lozowski as he comes off the field. But yeah, a number of other changes. You also get to see Charlie Clare. He's already onto the field, and then also Harry Wells, George Martin also brought into the fray.
Yeah, big changes up front by Steve Borthwick, and as Sarah was saying, Youngs for Wigglesworth. Farrell is in no doubt. He goes for goal, he takes the 3. Right, it's not a high-scoring thriller. It's not what we saw last year with Exeter and Harlequins, but this is compelling and captivating. 16 minutes left of the English domestic club rugby season. Leicester 12, Saracens 9. On a knife edge doesn't do it justice.
It's so tense. You talk about just hanging on to your game plan. Tom touched on it before. The half-time chats will be about stick to the plan. It'll come good. We've just seen it for Saracens work their way metre by metre up the pitch through good tactical kicking, eventually forcing a mistake and getting themselves right back in the contest.
Yeah, it's incredibly attritional, really physical hits going in, lots of ball retention from Saracens in that phase of play, and then they managed to get a few offloads away and earn themselves that penalty.
And Ellis Genge has also come off for Leicester. That's the end of his Tigers career, the club captain. He's off to Bristol, and he is 15 minutes away from going there as a Premiership winner. Alan Davis's kick, Stewart takes it, so just a tiny lull and a chance for us to check in with Dave Woods again. Dave.
6 minutes of the second half played here. England women still leading the French by 16 points to 4. They remain dominant, and France have had a player sin-binned as well. Elodie Packall, the prop forward, for a late hit on Jodie Cunningham. So England looking good at the moment. They lead the French by 16 points to 4.
Thanks very much, Dave. Billy Vunipola in the backfield. He's had a big game, hasn't he, Billy Vunipola?
I was about to say, Jonesy, for those of us of the right vintage, he's playing like Dean Richards. The ball is just following him around the field. Slightly more athletic version of Dean Richards. The ball is following him.
But I know what you mean. He's looking like he's completely spent, and then he's getting up and doing something big with the ball. It's starting to pick up the wind, and the tension is certainly picking up as well. Under 15 minutes left. Leicester 12, Saracens 9. As Burns kicks, asking Potter to chase. There's Billy Vunipola again, who takes it. He's basically played like a fullback today, the number of high balls he's had to negotiate. And this is where every little decision could make or break the final. Tom Wood, how important is tactically getting things right in this final stage of the final game of this long season?
Yeah, it's a three-point game, and everything, momentum's everything now. One error and you really invite the other team in, so Pragmatism, slowing the ball down here, getting your drills right, getting these box kicks right and your chase right, not losing concentration so that you stay in this fight right to the death.
Well, we mentioned how the wind was picking up. Sonia McLaughlin's notes have gone flying off the gantry. Someone has got a souvenir. Get them framed and on eBay. Leicester 12, Saracens 9, as the kick tennis continues, but there's a caginess to it. Elliot Davis on his own 10-metre line. He box kicks, and the crowd can sense that every little play now could have an effect on the outcome and the destiny of this 2021-22 Premiership season. Stewart, and then the kick from Ben Youngs. Davis takes it, Billy Vunipola, who else is there? And he drops it, Billy Vunipola. We mentioned how every little act could be decisive. It's a scrum to Leicester, and I wonder if all the hard work he's put in has just caught up with Billy Vunipola there.
Yeah, Elliot Davis caught the ball instead of Vunipola. It's a high quality baseline rally, isn't it? They make a good catch, they have a quick rook, they belt the ball back. They make a good catch, they have a quick rook, they belt the ball back. And that time, almost like Elliot Davis caught it, went for a drop shot instead of just whacking the ball back down the field. Vunipola knocked it on, getting some treatment on that ankle that he damaged earlier. He's been colossal today, but that's what happened last time, Tom. Leicester made the mistake in the aerial battle. This time it's Saracens.
Yeah, and I think you're just starting to see a little bit of fatigue and concentration slip there, because the kick chases are starting to get a little bit more raggy. It's going to open up the pitch a little bit for these offloads, so both teams will want to really refine their kick chase and their ability to kick and compose themselves, organise their defensive lines.
It's a 3-point game, so worth pointing out what happens if it does go to extra time. 5-minute break, and then 2 periods of extra time, 10 minutes each way. And if the scores are equal after that, the winner will be the team who scored the most tries. At the moment, that's the Leicester Tigers. So there will be extra time, but after that extra time, if it's still level, the Tigers, in effect, have an extra point with their 2 tries so far. Bit of a break, lots of replacements on. How will that influence the scrum we're preparing to see? It's an all-new front row for Leicester, with Leartagaga Hayes either side of Charlie Clare. There's a new 9 in Ben Youngs, a new 9 for Saracens in the South African Even van Zyl, who played against England on the tour in 2018.
Within front row circles, I know Charlie Clare's got a really good reputation as a scrummager and hooker, so I don't know how much influence that will have here.
Old teammate of yours, Charlie Clare, Tom?
Yep.
Jasper Wiese peels away, tackled by Ben Earl, 40 metres out Leicester, and Young's sort of an Ireland tactic of boxing from inside the opposition half, and that one went too far, and Good takes it. And well, Good, I mean, what's happening here? Because he's saying that the Leicester player was too close to him, and they're going to retake it, I think. But Good is so cool and calm, isn't he? I know we're talking him up today, but nothing he does ever looks flustered.
What stop?
No, it's awareness levels are just superb, aren't they? That's right, ended up with 2 balls on the field. Made his mark, spotted a gap. Leicester players too close, well dealt with by the ref. Ooh!
Well, great kick from Good. And then is Burns inside? Well, Burns is out of play.
He's in touch.
So even though Freddie Burns knocked it on, but it's already out for a line out. So Leicester line out. Brilliant clearance from Good. It's now back in Leicester territory. Go back to Dave Wood to the Rugby League.
England 20, France 4. Amy Yardcastle has just powered over from close range. Her second try of the game, just confirming England's domination here. We've got 10 minutes of second half played. It's England's women 20, French women 4.
Thanks, Dave. Has some fantastic finishes at Ascot today. Let's go back there and Darren Owen.
We've had some big price winners as well. We were expecting the Platinum Jubilee Stakes to go abroad. Well, it is remaining on home soil. Charlie Appleby has sent out the first and the second. The winner, number 17, Naval Crown, partnered by James Doyle at 33-1, beats the stable companion Creative Force by a neck, and that horse returns at 12-1, and a dead heat for third between Artorias for Australia at 17-2 and the US challenger Campanelli at 10-1.
Nice one, Darren. 11 minutes to go at Twickenham. Leicester 12, Saracens 9, and a penalty to Leicester from the line out. Freddie Stewart is preparing to belt this downfield. Paul Grayson.
I think it was Maru Itoje gave the penalty away at the line out, desperate to try and force that turnover. Just got too far the wrong side of the line. Freddie Burns was down with cramp stretching off, which is why Stewart has kicked to touch. Hard to make good decisions, Tom, this stage of the game when you're physically absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, you want to be right on the edge in terms of your competitor. And Marito's famous for getting his arms through line-outs, disrupting mauls, getting across, getting up in front of people and winning line-out turnovers, but you get just the wrong side of it these days, and you're on the wrong side of the referee, and you're inviting more pressure into your half.
One at the line-out by Leicester, who are deep in Saracens territory with this slender but ever so important 3-point lead. Sarries again have done a number on Leicester at the Mall and have got the scrum. And just one of those games, isn't it? Only a handful of points really compared to the free scoring stuff we often see in this fixture, but every single moment feels like it's going to have a bearing on the whole destiny of the title.
It's nice for once we predicted this sort of game and it's exactly playing out, so we're not made to look like complete fools, but every single moment is contested. The competitive nature of it that Tom just touched on there, every single battle across the field is being contested to the absolute limit, which is why it's so tight and you can't really pick a winner at this stage.
Under 10 minutes to go. 5 Live Sport live at Twickenham on your radio, online and on your BBC Sounds app. It's going to be a penalty and a Saracens. Oh, they're just hanging on here, Sarries, but they're winning crucial penalties to keep this one so exciting. Penalty to Sarries. It's inside their own half, but there'll be a chance for Owen Farrell, who's already cleared to touch, and it will be a line out to Sarries round about the halfway, just inside the Leicester half now, Tom Wood.
Yeah, that scrum ascendancy with the bench coming on now for both teams, that scrum ascendancy is massive for Saracens. That's a real asset in a 3-point game, being able to eke out penalties, being able to clear your lines. That's a really important part of the game here.
Jamie George goes to Andy Christie, now Bansal. Nice work this from Sarries, out the back, Farrell, oh it hits Billy Vanapola. They worked a shape that looked dangerous, but it's either been knocked on or it's come off Vanapola's head. Either way, it's back in Leicester possession.
Billy Vanapola not moving particularly quickly down there.
He's not, is he? He's maybe, he might say he's lying down to avoid being caught offside, but I think he's just completely and utterly gone. It's a line out to Saracens. It wasn't a knock on by Vanapola, it's come off his chest. He's been spoken to by a Saracens physio. Duncan Taylor parents come on. It is all happening as it often does at this stage of a final, but the upshot is that it's a Saracens line out on halfway. The score remains Leicester 12, Saracens 9, 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, they went
the Vanapola one came off his shoulders, so
off the top of the line out. A nice sort of ball out of the back from Tompkins to Farrell. Somebody gambled in the Leicester line and went to cut the path, the wide pass off. So Sarries had created the hole. I don't think the pass was destined for Vanapola, but he arrived 100 miles an hour, hit him in the shoulder. Sarries ball.
Jamie George to throw and finds Nikasikwa in the middle of the line out. Well, straight away the line out, the Mall splintered, so George has to play it. Finds Duncan Taylor, now Alex Lazowski, the two replacements combining. Halfway line, Ben Earl, Premiership player of the season, but will he end up on the winning or the losing side? Andy Christie out to the replacement loose header only Maui, and Christie has gone siding through. He's really quick, Andy Christie, and he's trying to stand up Stewart, and he set it up well for Van Zyl. Picked up by Duncan Taylor. Here goes Duncan Taylor, 10 metres out. He offloads to Vincent Koch. Sarries just about to strike the killer blow. Out to Owen Farrell. Farrell to Jamie George. George 4 metres out. Sarries trailed by 3. A try would put them ahead. A slip by Taylor. How costly will that be, or is it still with Sarries? Maui, the Fijian, drives on. 5 metres out, the men in black. They've yet to score, but they've got a penalty advantage, and they're only 4 metres out. Still in Sarries' possession. Listen to the noise round Twickenham. Billy Vanapola runs into referee Wayne Barnes. Oh, what a way to kill the move. And I think we're going to have a penalty for foul play by Green, heard over the referee's link. But goodness me, Billy Vanapola ran right into Wayne Barnes. So what happens now? It's a scrum to Sarries. I'm sure I heard foul play against Green. Wayne Barnes doesn't seem to have it. As we see a replay of that astonishing Andy Christie breakfall, Grayson, that might be one of the key moments in this final.
I don't know whether he picked it up over the mics as soon as he made the break. Tom just shouted out, he's quick. He is quick. Superb athleticism, reading of the game to make the break. Didn't quite get his one-on-one with the fullback right. But here we go, Sarries.
I'd have gone for a chip and chase, I reckon.
Well, glory. He had glory at his fingertips there, Andy Christie. But what a break. Maro Itoje was talking in the week to us, and he mentioned Christie as a player that's come through in the adversity of that championship season. And somehow, despite all Leicester's pressure, Sarries are 5 metres out with a scrum. There was no foul play, false alarm there. And because Billy Vunipola ran into Wayne Barnes, the referee stopped the play and has given a scrum to Sarries. It's 6 metres out. It's under the crossbar practically, and there are fewer than 6 minutes left of the final on 5 Live. Scrum starts to move. Referee not happy. Will scrum again, Paul Grayson.
Massive moments here. What was it, 14 minutes ago that we were talking about how the last 20 minutes might play out? And we said that if Leicester didn't get some extra points on the board, they might come to rue it, because inevitably Saracens would have some sort of re-entry into the game. They've done that now. 3-point lead really at this stage. Try would be a killer blow, I think, for Sarries.
I think Leicester on edge here as a forward pack. They've been on the back foot a couple of times in recent scrums, and they've gone early on that one and pushed through the mark. So, you know, you can see they're right on their toes. Can't afford to give any inches here.
Saracens feed the scrum. Is Billy Vunipola going to peel away? Yes, he is. Here goes Billy. 4 metres out, Billy Vunipola. But quick ruck ball for Sarries as Leicester pour forward. That's good defence from Leicester. Penalty to Saracens. As Leicester go in at the side, and you wonder, guys, whether Leicester have just gone, I'll take the 3, let's go back and level it up at 12 ball, because the Sarries try, as you said, Paul Grayson, I think that's the end of the final if Sarries scored there.
Well, the clock ticks down now. What are we? 4 minutes 51 seconds to go as Billy Vunipola lies flat on his back after that carry. I mean, goodness me, 3 players in on him.
Just slow this down, Barnsley.
Freddie Burns up high as the TMO gets involved.
Yeah, just control, isn't it? It's just
Right, Barnsley, I'm going to show you head contact by Matt Scott on Billy Vunipola.
Now, judging by the first half, Matt Scott's half the size of Billy Vunipola, so what does he get? An MBE or something?
So Black 8 runs into contact. Leicester 23 is on the back foot, but it is direct head contact.
Okay, so look, first question is obviously head contact, so we get the 8 pick up here.
So it's a tackle on Billy Vunipola as he peeled off the scrum.
So that's the real speed. We're just going to show you the contact point now.
It's going to be a yellow card for Matt Scott here, isn't it? At least. He's too high, he's way upright.
It's in the nose.
Very similar.
It's in the nose with the shoulder.
Absorbing the tackle, but it's direct ahead. So question is degree of force. We're starting at
as much force as he could possibly give is the answer to that.
Agreed.
Okay, 23.
Yes.
Nonsense.
Well, at least it's consistent for both sides today.
That's the thing. He's boxed himself into a corner where I think he wants to give a red there, but he can't because he gave a yellow earlier.
Yeah. So it's a yellow card for Matt Scott.
No charge.
And actually, that's such a by Scott going high. He's hitting Vunipola with more of a dominant. Vunipola's 4 metres out. If he goes low, as you should be tackling, Vunipola might take him over the line. So it's a moment, Matt Scott. You know, he's taken the risk and he's only getting a yellow, but a yellow is in effect a red with only 4 minutes left of the final. It's 12 points all with 4 minutes left. Farrell kicks the goal and Sarries have that momentum now.
Well, Grace mentioned earlier about not taking chances, and we saw it last week with the Saints-Leicester game, where all the pressure was with Saints in the first half. Missed some open goals, missed a few chances, left to rue it. Leicester didn't take the points when they were there. Sarries held firm, and now all of a sudden the momentum's all with Saracens. Yellow card to Leicester. All the play's been with Sarries.
Sarah Orchard on the touchline. How tense is it amongst the replacements?
It is very, very tense down here, and I should say Billy Vunipola has gone off down the tunnel for an HIA, so he's going to be checked out, and Jackson Ray is on the field now for what is the last 4 minutes unless we go into extra time.
Jackson Ray, who's played in 4 of these finals before, a Saracen stalwart, has Van kicks, and it is all about territory now, and it's all about keeping your cool. Great take, Freddie Stewart up against Max Malins.
Will we see a drop goal, Grace? That's one thing that Sonia's just mentioned. As she said, George Ford's just gone off. So does Freddie Burns have that in the locker?
Yeah, he definitely does. They've got about 70 metres of territory to gain, though, before he gets a shot.
Young's kicks. He goes purely for territory, where it's taken by Alex Good, and Good is that slightly sliced, but still in play. That's still okay from a Sarries point of view. Freddie Stewart, they're just going to kick to each other to try and force a mistake. Max Malins takes it, finds Alex Good. He can't go to touch because it was taken in. He kicks down the throat of Freddie Burns. 3 minutes left, 12 points all. The Premiership final on a knife edge. Burns kicked, Good slipped, but managed to take it like the consummate footballer he is. It is just kick upon kick, trying to work a position to maybe have a go at a drop goal. It's like a game of risk. This one's bouncing for Burns, and it's in Leicester possession. 35, 40 metres out, and now they maybe are in drop goal range as Youngs finds Hayes. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. Ben Youngs throws a dummy, makes half a break. Listen to the noise round Twickenham. George Martin has a go. Harry Wells is in there too. Sarries looking to steal, but still in Leicester possession. All eyes on the referee, all eyes on Ben Youngs. They're still too far out for the drop, are they? Or has Freddie Burns got something really special in his locker? 45 metres he'll have to go, but he is half poised for the drop goal. What are you thinking, Paul Grayson?
They can't afford to stop playing. They'll just keep going backwards if they go side to side here. Sarries whacked him back the last two phases.
2 minutes left of the Premiership final on 5 Live Sport. Freddie Burns out the back finds his back. And Guy Porter. Harry Potter in there to ruck as well. There for Ben Youngs. They're too far out for a drop goal. They're almost too far out for a penalty as Leicester drives on. A turnover would give Saracens a chance to go into Leicester's territory. Ben Youngs is going to box kick, and he has box kicked, and has been knocked on by Evan Van Zyl, and it's there for Leicester. And Youngs looks left and goes right. Now they're more in drop goal range, the Tigers. Hayes is tackled, but it's there for Youngs, 25 metres out to Burns, over to Porter. Now Stewart makes half a break. He had Ashton on the outside. Ray's looking to steal, but there for Chris Ashton, who finds number 20 George Martin. Into the 22 go Leicester with 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Visa out to Burns. Ollie Chesham, 22, cocks on that ball, but he can't get the turnover, can he? No. Ben Youngs to the right finds Liebenberg, one of the try scorers. Now surely they can think about the drop goal as Harry Wells ploughs on for the Tigers, roared on by the Leicester fans. Now it's drop goal range with only 16 metres to go or so. Does Freddie Burns fancy it? Ben Youngs digging for the ball. Burns is in the pocket. 35 seconds to go at Twickenham. Still Leicester and their forwards drive on. A score wins it surely here. Burns is back there for the drop goal. Freddie Burns for glory. Ben Youngs to Freddie Burns to win the Premiership. Burns, he's nailed it. He's kicked it. Unbelievable scenes as Freddie Burns surely wins the Premiership for Leicester. He can't believe it. His hands are on his head. One of the most famous kicks in Leicester Tigers' rich history has been nailed by Freddie Burns. And is there any time for Saracens to come back? They will restart, but the clock is now dead, and Leicester have all but won this thing.
Unbelievable stuff from Leicester Tigers and Freddie Burns. George Ford was the man to win this game for them. Went off early with an injury. Burns has been absolutely superb. Cometh the moment, cometh the man. Well done him.
We mentioned before the game about the restarts in the warm-up, and it's absolutely critical now from a Leicester point of view that they take control of this restart. You'd expect Sarries to kick it short and try and regather the ball. And if they do manage to retain the ball here, then all bets are off. It's still a 3-point game.
Well, they have to retain it. Farrell has to just dink the ball. And it's shades of 03 in Sydney with England-Australia. All Leicester have to do is retain this kickoff or regain this kickoff. That's all they have to do, and they've won the league. It's that simple. The clock is dead. Farrell prepares to kick off.
Give space.
Nikasiqua's gone off. People are coming and going. We can't keep up. Farrell kicks off. It's a perfect restart, and it's back in Leicester possession. Liebenberg takes it, and they're already celebrating the Tigers. Ben Youngs digs for the ball. He's going to send it back to Burns. The Leicester hero kicks it into the Leicester fans behind the goal. Freddie Burns the hero, and Leicester, after 9 years in the wilderness, are back on top of English rugby. Saracens, hands on hips and hands on heads and bodies on floor. But Leicester don't know where to turn. They don't know where to run. Delirious scenes for the men in green, who have won the Premiership in the most extraordinarily dramatic way.
Pure unbridled joy from the Leicester Tiger players. What a way to win a final. And then post that final whistle, absolute bedlam from them. And then the cameras turn to Steve Borthwick, who takes out his earpiece, bows his head, just pure relief on his face. What a job he has done. What a job his players have done for him today. Magnificent.
Well, look at these scenes around this famous old place. They've come down the M1 in their thousands, 9 years out of the showpiece, and in one of the most attritional, tense yet captivating finals, a Freddie Burns drop goal with 20 seconds to go, the difference. He came on for George Ford and he sealed the title for Leicester, and he can hardly believe it, Tom Wood.
Well, if you look at the duration of the season, Leicester have been the benchmark all year. How many games they go unbeaten at the start? They've been phenomenal all year under Steve Borthwick. You know, the nature of the playoffs means it's anyone's game once it's knockout rugby, but credit to Leicester, they really deserve it. Unbelievable effort from them. The emotion of the last few weeks for them as well, with Ben Youngs and Tom Youngs in the camp. A mention for Tiff, Tom's wife. They'd have been playing with that in mind over the last couple of weeks, and it would have spurred them on no end. You know, they deserve it. Credit to them.
Well, we felt like we'd gone all retro there, didn't we? Because for Johnny Wilkinson in 2003, you could insert Freddie Burns, who gets the drop goal for Leicester and clinches the English Premiership crown for Leicester Tigers. And Freddie Burns, he had the last honours as well, because he hoofed that ball into Rosed and then shot off towards the touchline here, and he was just so excited, and he could not believe what had just happened. Sarah Orchard, you're in amongst it. Well, we will hear from Sarah Orchard. It's bedlam down there, so you can imagine at the moment the type of scenes that we are seeing. Paul Grayson, just a little word first of all as the Leicester Tigers players celebrate. The podium is being constructed on the centre circle as we speak. Freddie Burns, I think I'm right in saying, has never played in a Premiership final before. He was talking about it this morning. He's coming towards he's at the tail end of his career in terms of it. What a moment for a player like that, who has just been such a stalwart.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's ridden the roller coaster of Premiership rugby. He's been part of swap deals, going with George Ford, moving clubs. He's had time away from the game. He's had some personal issues to deal with. Physically, I did some work with Freddie as a goal kicker when he was completely lost and couldn't find the ball. Couldn't find the post with the ball, and he was charming, self-effacing, and he's a bloody good rugby player. To get his moment in the sun, he's earned it.
Yeah, and not surprisingly, he's hugged all round for the Leicester number 22, because he's taking the deserved congratulations. Let's get to Sarah Orchard, who is in amongst it down on the pitch. Sarah.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Sonia. I'm just approaching Rugby Union Weekly's Chris Ashton. You have just won another Premiership, Chris Ashton. You are down on one knee. How does it feel?
I am knackered, Sarah. I honestly never thought I'd see this day again. Well, 4 months ago, I was sat at home in the garage. I'm here winning another Premiership. Nobody gave us a chance. And that gave us every bit of energy we needed. We had a free shot here today. We played a different game plan. We came and we played. Oh, amazing. Amazing. We worked so hard. This group's worked so hard. I've only been here a few months, but it was so easy for me to buy into it because I could see how hard they work for each other every day.
Saracens, amazing team. They were never going to go away. Stopped to scoring a few times, but oh man, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Chris Ashton, this is radio, so people cannot see the smile on your face, but they can certainly hear it in your voice. How much did it help today that you know what that Saracens team are about and how they play?
Yeah, we all know. Everybody knows. They've been here and done it, but we had belief. We've got a young team here. Why not? We've got such a good young group of players that are coming through, and just the fight they showed out there to stick in there the whole 80 minutes, and then Freddie Burns to kick a drop goal. What a moment for him.
We have to mention Freddie Burns. What a drop goal, what a man to come on. Obviously devastation that George Ford had to go off, but just give us a taste about Freddie Burns, a man who's returned to Leicester. He loves this club.
Yeah, and he's been disappointed, you know, because he's sat behind 40 and he's had to wait his turn, and he took his chance when he came on. That's how good of a player he is. And this week he was actually telling me about a drop goal out in Japan that he tried in the tsunami to win it, and he completely missed. So who would have thought he would have had the chance today to win it for Leicester?
Ashley, we're going to let you go and celebrate, but before you do, what is that celebration going to be like? Because you're normally an uber professional.
I cannot wait. I am the professional, but I can have 2 days off.
Go and enjoy. Thank you, Chris Ashton.
I love that response. How does it feel? Sarah said, I'm knackered. and who can blame him, because that was attritional, it was intense, it was as close as we thought it would be, coming down to a drop goal in the last 20 seconds. Just Paul Grayson, Tom Wood, to discuss between the pair of you as we wait for the trophy presentation. How inspired was it by Steve Borthwick to play both Chris Ashton and Richard Wigglesworth, not just for their experience, but they know exactly what it's like to that Saracen psyche, because they've both played there.
You just get the sense with Steve Borthwick alongside him, Paul Sculthorpe, an absolute champion of rugby league, a legend of that game. There are no gimmicks. It's not sentiment. It's the right thing at the right time, the right selection at the right time. Woody, I don't know whether you get the same sense that everything's calculated. That try they scored just in front of us in the bottom right-hand corner, the dummy pick and go instead of the scrum. Ashy coming in off his wing as opposed to going for the brilliant solo finish, which set up the position. Total buy-in from the players to the coach's plan.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a tactical masterclass in terms of you've got Borthwick that knows in and out what Saracens are about. He selected 2 of his old teammates in Wigglesworth and Ashton that also know exactly what's coming their way. All of them have been in Premiership, Championship games, Heineken Cup Championship games, and they've gone on to basically beat Saracens at their own game. Really, they've shown absolute power when it was necessary. Bit of tactical astuteness around the goal line in order to score the 2 tries. They've outscored Saracens by a couple of tries. And then they've had the composure at the end to drop that goal.
Saracens players just in a huddle. Oh my goodness, just to be a fly on the wall down there as to what is being said. Commiserations to Saracens, who put up a mighty fight, but we can go back to get more reaction from Leicester with Sarah.
I'm delighted to say I'm stood next to the match winner, Freddie Burns. What a moment, what a drop goal. Tell me about that kick.
Oh, I can't really tell you much about it. I'm in disbelief right now. I think the fight this team showed all year, that's my job in the team to put it over, but God, we're up against it, against the quality Sarries team, and we pulled ourselves back from the death yet again. So I'm in utter disbelief here, shock, over the moon. My mouth's dry, I want a beer, and I'm just, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
We spoke to you earlier in the week, and you said a win today would mean the world to you. You've been on an incredible journey. 13 years you've been a professional rugby player. Just talk us about what this moment means.
It's everything. I said when I was 5 years old, I had 2 ambitions when I started playing rugby.
See you on the big screen.
That was to play for my country and to win the Premiership. And had a year in Japan, I thought it'd gone. I've come back. I've been an unbelievable team, unbelievable set-out. I just get straight in tears. I can't hold it together. It just means the world. I can't tell you honestly. It chokes me up just thinking about it, and we've done it. I can't believe it.
Before I let you go, you ran up into the stand to celebrate. Who were you going to share the moment with?
All my family. Not many people know that they ride the ups and the downs with you, and they've been through the tough times. They've been through the tough times as well as the good. So I just wanted to give them a hug, because God, it means as much to them as it does to me.
Huge congratulations. Go and get that beer.
Freddie Burns, actually one of the nicest men in rugby union, Freddie Burns, and he's finally a Premiership winner. The officials here, headed by Wayne Barnes, they've just gone up to get their medals, and any moment now it'll be the Saracens players taking the walk that no player wants to take at a Premiership final, because they will be going up to get their losers' medals.
Just look at the two people who Sarah's spoken to there, Sonia. Chris Ashton, who said 6 months ago he was sitting at home thinking, no one wants me, I'm not going to play rugby again. As we see we see the big screen, Tom Young's up on the big screen, and there is not a single person in here, Leicester, Sarries or neutral, who is not on their feet cheering Tom Young's. What an incredibly tough time he's had. But look at that smile, he knows those players have played for him. And I was just talking about the incredible emotional stories in this Leicester team, no bigger than that one, of course. But Chris Ashton, who came back from, he thought, the end of his career. Freddie Burns probably thought he would never play at Twickenham again. So it's men who have come back to do special things, which has made this an incredibly memorable and special title win.
And I hope that the phalanx of photographers down there, I hope they captured that moment. Tom Young's getting an enormous hug from both Freddie Burns and other Leicester players, and just fabulous to see Tom Young's smile. So hat tip to him and to his family more generally. Oh dear, what must it be like now, Tom Wood, to be these Saracens players?
It's really cool. You know, they've poured their hearts and souls into this season as well. They've been in a dark place in recent years, and they've got themselves back into this position. They played with unbelievable character. It was a really attritional game. They showed great resilience on their try line a number of times to hold Leicester out, and it's such a close game. You know, it's a drop goal in the last few seconds that cinched it and denied them the trophy. So, you know, commiserations to them. Unbelievably proud of what they do.
The game absolutely on a knife edge, Sonia. We saw that high tackle sin bin